following podcast is being brought to you by the Defy Life Podcast Network.
This week on the Defy Life Podcast, we have our latest wellness segment with Dr. James Griffin speaking about narcissism. And as always, we answer listener questions and wrap things up with some trivia. Let's get it. Yeah, that's what it is. I guess we gotta do it then. You alright? Chill, pool, out, money, West Coast. Let's get it. Strap in, let's take a ride. Oh yeah, it's about that time, right? Been waiting all week to get to this. It's finally time to defy life. Let's chop it up, keep it real, no other way. That's what we do. We might disagree, but it's all love. Guarantee we gon' speak the truth. Yeah, this hit different. My guys with me now. Who's with us? Stick around for a few minutes. It's contagious. You'll get it. You downloaded the realest. Don't feel us, but get out. You not rocking with Defy Life, then what's your life about? This ain't the fine line. Told you. This on to the shy line. I'm gonna let this ride out though. This is the fine line. This is the fine line. Welcome back to the Defy Life Podcast. Powered by the Defy Life Podcast Network. This episode is sponsored by Bud Bottles, home of the Bud Bottle and the Bud Freshener. Please visit budbottles.com for your odor eliminating needs. Thank you for listening. You can find on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, GoDefyLife.com, and everywhere else your favorite podcasts are available. As always, we encourage you to like, subscribe, and give us a 5-star rating whenever you listen. You can also find us on all social media platforms at Go Defy Life. This is episode 115, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, J.R. Glymph, joined as always by my wonderful co-host and whoever the hell that is making noise through my intro, Thomas Stevens, Alvin Glymph, Gerald Hedrick, West Coast J. How's it going today, Pooh?
Man, it's going well. You know how we do it, you know where we do it, and you know when we do it.
No doubt.
It's good.
No doubt. Just one question, because I'm asking everybody. Is that you scratching records through the intro? Who is that?
No, sir. You know I'm always mute. You know I'm always booted and muted.
No doubt. Well, I can scratch you off the suspect list. Alvin Glymph, how's it going today, sir?
I'm guilty. I'd be the guilty one.
Narrowed it down.
I ain't gonna front. I was in here working
Mixing
on my
records.
computer and just didn't know how sensitive my mic was. Didn't know how sensitive. So now I gotta.
No
That's
doubt.
my bad. But I'm doing good, my brother. Doing good.
Good. No doubt. Good to hear your voice, man. Gerald Hedrick, how's it going today, man?
Yo, what's good? It's 2 for Tuesdays and the real is back. Yo, I'm just at the crib. I'm making me some greens, for all the Southerners and the the Midwesterners in the house that like greens. I'm making me some greens right now. I got a big pot on the stove. And when I say making greens, I mean like I'm warming up some greens that my dad made a couple of weeks ago and I froze them. But they're still gonna be good. I'm still warming them up, no doubt. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Everything's nice over here, man. What's Coach J? Good with you, homie?
Man, you know me. Over here holding on like a hubcap in the fast lane, Peppy.
Damn right.
Yeah.
Well,
when you get to the doctors, I need to find out what's wrong with me, man.
Hey, yeah. Speaking of which, we do have we got a wellness segment tonight, so we skipped a month. Yeah, so we are gonna have Dr. James Griffin on to talk about narcissism. This should be interesting.
Oh, this is about to be so much fun.
Yeah, right. So if by the end of this,
at least 8 out of the 10 girls I date call me a narcissist.
80% of all women surveyed call money a narcissist.
All I gotta say is, I don't know what y'all talking about. That's not me. That's y'all. I don't know what y'all talking about. I ain't
right. I'm just playing, ladies.
Yeah.
I'm just playing, ladies. I'm not a narcissist.
Narsa who? Who's she?
Narcissism dreaming. I don't
know. Man. Narcissism, what you saying that was?
Wow. Well, yeah, so looking forward to it. We will have Dr. Griffin on shortly. Before we get to that, we, as usual, a little bit of house cleaning. So, first and foremost, I want to welcome Chab Dog Sports Blog to the Defy Life family. If you've been on Go Defy Life today, GoDefyLife.com, you've noticed some tennis news out there, and you know, maybe wondering what the hell is going on at Go Defy Life. But yeah,
I saw that.
All right. So welcome, Chab Dog. You know, we'll be covering tennis and baseball, Al, for you, and as well as NBA. So and also working towards getting his podcast on the network as well. So welcome, Chab Dog and the Chab Dog Sports Blog. We're excited to have you guys on. And you know, one day in, and we it's already been fruitful. So again, welcome. It's going to be a fun ride.
Absolutely.
All right, and with that, you know, if he's on the network, pretty soon he's going to have some gear. So just a reminder to everybody to go out and check out DefyLifeGear.com. We still got the spring line. We got you know, so it's getting hot, so we got swimwear out there. Still all the t-shirts, the podcast gear, everything's there. So don't forget to go check that out. And as soon as Chab Dog's up and running, his stuff will be out there too. So salute to everybody who supports Defy Life Gear. But yeah, man. So we are going to talk about some NBA later on. So I don't want to really get into that too deep because we got to call the doctor in a minute. But one thing that came up on social media earlier this week is Gerald Hedrick posted an open letter to the Charlotte Hornets from another fan, but pretty much said pretty much summed up his feelings. And as Gerald falls in line, Money, you fall in line, right, with the guy that you've doing away with your season tickets as a Hornets fan. First question, what went into that thought process to lead to that decision?
You know, so, you know, we're a basketball community, you know, and I feel like whenever you have a team, the team supports the community, and the community supports the team. I think that goes both ways. Our tax dollars help with the revenue of the team, and ticket prices, of course, all the advertising deals and all that are a big part. But you know, a team belongs to the community. I just really feel like that at the end of the day, the foundation and the root of it all is that the team belongs to the community. And so I'm a Hornets head. I love the Hornets. I've been a season ticket holder for a full season ticket holder, and I own 2 seats for 7 seasons, and I've been a package holder for 8. So I got a lot of friends that are longtime season ticket holders. We all know each other in both the sections that I'm in. And it's a great experience. And the benefit is usually, you know, I get every game, I get additional discounts at concession and the Jordan store. I get all the Jordan brand stuff, you know, discounted. All that stuff is always accessible to season ticket holders even when it's not accessible to fans. You get to meet the players. You know, they take you back in the tunnels and let you, you know, get guys sign your autograph. It's a really nice thing. You know, I'm sure throughout the years, there's, there'd be like, free Wednesday night or whatever. So if you were a season ticket holder, then you might get a Coke and a hot dog for free. Just like, so they just try to do little things to incentivize, season tickets. But I found with the Hornets that's been, those trends they're moving in the other direction. I guess that stuff kind of bites into profit. So, they, 1 year, in fact, when I first became a season ticket holder, they gave us parking passes. Like, you also got a parking pass, so, it's just little things like that the organization has slowly but surely taken away. And I think that the Hornets organization themselves is living off the nostalgia of the name change because, back when we were the Bobcats, I mean, you couldn't, you can beg someone to take season tickets. I remember a guy joking with me. I told him I was a season ticket holder. He busted out laughing and said, "Man, in Charlotte, if you get a speeding ticket, your punishment is Bobcats tickets." And I thought that
that's hilarious.
Wow.
Yeah, I was mad, but that shit is really funny. So just seeing little things like that being taken away over time. And I've touched a little bit on this in the past with kind of the consolidation of the talent on specific teams. Like it used to be, you could go watch the Pistons play or, the Hawks or, usually every team used to have like a guy that you could go and watch play and you could really like enjoy it. And so, now, especially in the Eastern Conference, over the last couple of years, there's been consolidation of talent on specific teams. And so, nobody wanted to go see the Nets play or nobody wanted to go see the Knicks play or whatever. So there was a secondary market. So let's say I can't go to that game. There'd be a secondary market for where the value of my ticket would hold. And then I could sell the ticket and not lose money. So that's kind of gone away. But the biggest factor for me is the Hornets' very poor mismanagement of the team and the talent itself. So all of those are business factors, but man, the players themselves pull on my heartstrings, and we've just made personnel decision disaster after personnel decision disaster for the past several years, and it's just driven me, and the Kemba Walker thing was really, the nail in the coffin for me. I just can't align myself with the direction of the organization. Like I'd have no faith in what the organization's doing. I can't tell what direction they're going. And I'm not even excited. I'm not even excited anymore. Like it used to, like every year I used to be so excited and, and it's a job to go to 41 home games and playoff games if you make them. And, like that's a lot. You can pay to park and like you leave work and head to fight the trial. Like that's a lot. But the sheer excitement of being a fan, of being in the arena, being in the house, and at least, and we had a marquee player to watch. Kemba's, we knew he was a marquee player before the rest of the NBA knew. So I've been watching him since his rookie year.
I know. And I want that on the record. I knew.
You knew? Appreciate that, West Coast. So, I feel like the organization has made decisions that don't have the best interests of the team or the fan in mind. And I encourage everyone to go out there and read that letter. You can find it on all kinds of news outlets, and if you get in touch, we can post it also. But it's my sentiment. It's exactly another friend of mine who's a long-time season ticket holder basically said the same thing. It's just we've lost faith in the direction of the organization, and we kind of feel like the organization has turned their backs on us and left us behind. And the guy had a really interesting perspective about. Because guys will take their dates or their tender dates or whatever to the game. So maybe they won't lose revenue, but what they're losing are the fans.
Right.
And I really just thought that. that perspective hit home to me. Because as you guys know, the old Hornets that was the best home court advantage in the NBA.
Yeah. So we on the West Coast will disagree with that statement.
That's a whole lot of stadiums that would disagree with that.
The Western delegation disagrees with that statement.
The old Hornets back. I used to go to Hornets games back when Morning and LJ was like that. That's
crazy.
Tough to beat. Yeah. And that's like through like regular season, like everything.
Yeah.
My question is, Money, what did you want them to do? What in this case with Kemba, what choice would have caused you to re-up for tickets?
I'm not. So I try not to. I don't want to tell anybody how to spend their money because Lord knows I don't want anyone telling me how to spend money. But if I'm the owner of the Hornets, and I know I've got all these bad contracts, and because we really are cap strapped, I'm not blaming per se, but here's what I am saying: all those contracts come off the books at the end of this upcoming season. For the organization, for the city, for the fans, for the team, go into the attacks for this season. It wasn't, the what, maybe $13-12 million. It wasn't going to kill the ownership of this team to go into the luxury tax to keep Kemba, all those bad Kid Gilchrist, Biyombo, Marvin Williams.
You cutting into Mike's gambling money though. You do that.
Hello.
Hey, I don't. But, that's
I got a simple question.
That's what Al asked. Like, I would have liked for the team to offer, like, that money's still coming off the books, and then we could have started a rebuild, or it's inexcusable to lose Kemba with nothing in return at all. So if Sacramento did this with DeMarcus Cousins. DeMarcus Cousins was a 5-time All-Star, and the team drafted him, and so that made him eligible for the Supermax. The team knew they wasn't going to keep him. They knew they wasn't going to re-sign him to a Supermax, so they traded him. I could have gotten over it had we understood that we weren't going to give Kemba the Supermax and traded him. You have to get something in return for a guy that good. And then to make things completely worse, then we bring in Terry Rozier, give him $60 million over 3 seasons, and now I'm pissed because we can't even tank correct. We can't even tank right. And so we're still in the same predicament of being just good enough to get the 12th pick and be 5 spots out of the 8th seed, 4 or 5 games out of the 8th. We're in the exact same spot. So if we're gonna lose the best player in franchise history, then at least blow it all up.
That's fair. I hear you. All right, my question is simple, and it's for everybody else. Al, are you giving up season tickets to the Knicks any season?
No.
Pooh, you giving up season tickets to the Bulls any season?
Nah, I'm not giving up my Bulls.
I wouldn't give up the Warriors. Jay, would you give up season tickets to follow LeBron?
That's what I was about to say.
Right now, apparently you're a Laker, so I don't even think you get those season tickets. Let's be honest.
Yeah, that's not
like
fair.
You're giving them up
for
for a bad year. You're giving them up for a bad few years.
Hold on, wait.
Like, I can't relate.
This is
bad bunch of years in a row.
It ain't just 1 year. It ain't just
right. Bad bunch of years in a row. And I do want you to remember you're talking to a Warriors fan when you keep this conversation going.
I know. I'm saying, like, we talking NBA. I don't have an NBA team, so it's tough for me to answer that question. Like, if I had to relate, I always say that. It's only one team that I can devote myself to, that much energy to. That's the Steelers, and I would say no. I would not give up my tickets. But, again, that kind of leads to the question I had, which I'll wait until after we talk to the doctor. It's kind of along those same lines. my question, like even before you give up the season tickets, I don't understand how you could support a team that's giving you a bad product for that long.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's a great conversation to have. Write that question down so we can continue this.
Right. Yeah.
Let's put a pin on that one. Let's put a pin in that one.
Yeah.
So,
but money, all that to say, I don't agree with giving up season tickets. I understand. I felt your logic. I just don't agree.
I feel you, brother. It was a tough, long thought. I've been thinking about that thing since about January. It's been a long thought process. A long time to make that decision. That didn't come easily. It did not come easily. And like I said,
there are different levels to being a fan, or different ways to be a fan. So by not giving them your money as a season ticket holder, that doesn't mean you're pulling your love, or you won't watch them on TV or even go to games throughout the season.
He said he would go to some games. He did.
Right.
Yeah, I'm going. I'm still going.
But
this is just
tickets, like ask Billy Crystal. Billy Crystal just got paid off for season tickets. He just got paid off for it.
Yeah.
I gotta express my frustration, man. I have to.
I ain't mad.
I mean, I'm a little disappointed, but I'm not mad. That's it.
Because honestly, there's not many ways as fans to communicate back directly to the franchise.
Right.
Yeah,
to
the
me,
bottom line is the bottom line.
That's one way. That's one way to communicate as fans, to say, we didn't appreciate X.
Right.
And because of that, we're pulling back.
Right. And if you have 14,000 season ticket holders and you lose 60% of them for something, the fan base is sending you a message, and they just want you to understand that, we want you to hear us.
Is that the actual number at this point? Have they gotten to 60 yet?
I don't think it's at that point yet, but they are spiraling. They don't know what to do. They do a press conference every day. They got articles in the Observer, and and because they have to give you your money back. So you start paying for the season tickets in January, and so then you paying for them all year like a car payment. And then you just renew and you do it all over again in January type deal. So yeah, I think they're reeling. I don't know the exact numbers, but I'll look them up and I'll try to have them for the next show. But yeah, it's bad out there right now.
All right. If the number gets to 60, then I take back my previous statement and I blame Charlotte ownership.
All right. Well, we will jump into a break really quick, and when we come back, we will have Dr. James Griffin talking about narcissism. It's about to get interesting, y'all. We'll be right back.
Do I have about a minute?
Welcome to the Anything, Everything, and Nothing podcast with Lynn and Kim. Join us as we discuss the latest in everything from entertainment and current events to the craziness that is our real life.
Let's laugh, let's live, let's talk about it. New episode every Tuesday on the Defy Life Podcast Network. And remember, if you're not defying life, then what are you doing? Lynn and Kim.
Welcome back to episode 115 of the Defy Life Podcast. Again, it's JR Glymph. We left off, we talked a little bit of NBA before we left off, but it's wellness segment night, and we got a very interesting segment coming up. We have with us Dr. J. Parker. How's it going today, Doc?
Doing quite well, sir. Dr. J. Parker Griffin Jr. reporting for duty.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thanks for joining us. We have been looking forward to this, so salute to you for joining us, sir.
Appreciate it.
No doubt. So we're just going to jump straight into it, man. So when Al came to this and presented you as a possible guest, it piqued all of our interest because, again, we got a lot of egos on this show. I got my hand raised. And And Al said it should be interesting because, hey, he one of his specialties is narcissism, especially amongst black men. So, wasn't nobody missing tonight's show. So we are excited. So give the people a little bit about, your background and, where you are, anything you want to tell our listeners.
Okay, I am a behavioral therapist, behavioral counselor in private practice. I have a doctorate in psychology from Georgia State University Psych Department. I'm a licensed professional counselor, and I specialize in applied behavioral analysis, behavior modification. I'm also a certified anger management specialist.
Okay, so that explains how you know Al.
I'm about to say, when I bring people to the table, I bring people because I got issues. So I need help. So,
yeah,
he's a good brother, very
no
good brother.
Doubt. Absolutely. Well, we're glad to have you, Doc. We didn't need you to find out Al had problems, but I'm glad you're here. Oh man, so Al mentioned narcissism as a key word in this conversation. So really quickly, for those that don't know or for people that think they know, what are the most common traits of a narcissist?
Well, it's kind of interesting the way that people think about narcissism, because they just thinking it's a loudmouth person who's arrogant and cocky and kind of like the one person that you notice in the room when you're in a room full of people. They kind of stand out type thing.
Right.
And that might be true to some extent, but that's not really what is most important as far as the clinical example of a narcissist. And so some of the characteristics that they portray is grandiosity. They think of things in larger than life terms. They have fantasies of unlimited power, brilliance, ideal love. They believe that they're special, they should be treated special, and this is key, they require a tremendous amount of admiration and praise. They're always looking for it, regardless of whether they have earned it. They have a sense of entitlement, so they think that everybody owes them something, and so they can just go ahead and just kind of command whatever it is, whether it's yours or not. They feel like it belongs to them. They're exploitive, and especially, this is important, they lack empathy. It's very difficult for them to put themselves in other people's shoes and to understand other people's hearts in particular. They're either envious of other people or think people are envious of them, and then you go back to that being arrogant, haughty, kind of look down your nose attitude that they portray to other people.
Interesting.
Kind of sound like our president.
Yeah, well, just like our president.
You would be the 9,457th person who's made that comment to me when I tell them I'm an expert in narcissism.
Wow.
So you're saying we're not unique?
Nah.
Not in that regard. Absolutely not.
Well, here's something interesting. There's this organization that consists of something like 60,000 mental health professionals across the country. It's called Duty to Warn, and they have concluded that your political leader is a narcissist. So, I don't know what that means, but, I try to shy away from diagnosing anyone that I have not interacted with on a personal basis.
Right.
But there's a lot of people who feel that it's important for the public, for the American public, to have a better understanding of what we're dealing with. And if they're right, that means that he would be the first president in the history of the United States who has an emotional disability.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So no other president's ever been diagnosed with anything,
No.
Emotional or mental.
Well, if you're talking about depression or something like that, then yeah. But I'm talking about personality disorder.
Like a straight up personality disorder.
Right.
That's interesting. So
okay, that's deep. You just dropped the mic on that one.
Now,
Right.
one question I do have for you is: you alluded to your idea of how you felt about that, but do you believe that he suffers from a narcissistic personality disorder?
Well, I'm not going to say that I believe that, but what I can say is that a lot of the behavior that I see exhibited is consistent with the diagnosis, and it's highly pathological. I can say that.
Wow.
I will accept that as a yes.
So we do see his interactions with the press and, even with citizens, whether it's face-to-face or via social media. And this would also help me in my interactions on Tuesday nights. How do you communicate with a narcissist, knowing when they exhibit those traits, and especially that heavy? How do you communicate and engage with a narcissist?
How do you communicate effectively?
Well,
Right.
it depends on what your objective is, and which means it depends on what your relationship is with the narcissist. In other words, let's just say, are you a family member, or are you an intimate partner, or are you a friend? Are you a boss? Are you a member of a congregation in a church? So, there's going to be different answers to that question based on what role it is you're playing in the interaction. Or are you a therapist?
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So, but in general, they can be quite engaging. They can be, they have a lot of charisma sometimes because they are experts of observing human behavior and understanding how to get what they want out of people. So many times they've been studying people for decades and decades, and so they learn and they emulate a lot of what they learn from other people in order to portray a particular image that's going to allow them to manipulate, control, and take advantage of other people.
Gotcha.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, Doc. As
That's
you've gone
deep, man.
through the characteristics, I guess I'm a little disappointed because I thought it was, it's much more. And I really can now connect that to some relationships I've had, specifically as a supervisor, and how toxic those relationships were as a boss with someone who had a lot of those characteristics.
Yeah, I kind of think of them in a nutshell as being kind of like a tornado in Kansas. Anywhere they touch down, it stirs up a bunch of crap.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well played.
Wow. And so, like, in relationships, whether it's business, personal, like you said, whether it can be a family member, spouse, anyone, how specifically does that eat at a relationship?
Okay, well, the problem becomes that they are kind of self-esteem junkies. That's why they're looking for all of this praise and accolades and being elevated to a level that makes them feel like they're a worthwhile individual. Deep down inside, they feel very inept and incompetent, and just they hate themselves very often. So they're going to be seeking out that validation from any source that they can get from the people around them. So that's going to be through sex, through money, through identification with high-profile people, through elevating their intellectual superiority to other people, So as far as managing your interaction with them, I think that's answering your question. Basically, what I say is what I say in dealing with a lot of people who have pathologies, and that is to feed the pathology. In other words, that puts you in a control position as opposed to being the target.
Gotcha.
So if they need praise and accolades, give it to them, and so on. It's no sweat off your back. You go ahead and you are able to avoid their wrath in the case of the supervisor. And yes, it keeps you being kicked in the butt.
So
I noticed they say that about the president, dude.
Yeah, keep him fat and lazy.
I noticed they Yeah, I noticed they say that about the president dude. They just say like, oh, well, you know, if you just start off, you gotta, you know, you stroke his ego a little bit, compliment him a little bit, and the meeting will go like much better. That'll put you on his good side or whatever the case might be. So yeah, I definitely can see those traits.
Well, that's because a lot of people speculate that narcissist is essentially emotionally like, say, a 9-year-old between 6 and 9 years old emotionally. So for that reason, anytime they feel insulted, they got to strike back like a little kid.
Immediately.
Gotcha.
10
Wow.
times. Yeah.
Can I ask you this? Is there a relationship with narcissism and depression? Has there been any correlations?
Well, that's one of the responses that they often have when you kind of like rain on their parade or kind of like burst their bubble as far as their fantasy world is concerned. They can go into deep depression. It's not usually long. It's usually like 2 or 3 days. But if you disagree with them or insult them in some kind of way or, you know, that kind of thing, if you criticize them, then they can go into withdrawal or depression, isolation, things like that.
Fair enough. So they are correlated.
So through your like your knowledge or experience, like have you noticed, like, do they want to feel that, like when you say you feed the pathology, like do they want it that easy, or do they want to feel like, you know, do they get a sense of whether it's genuine or not?
They don't care whether it's genuine or not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Here's another interesting thing. As long as they get a reaction from the person, in other words, if they can't get a positive reaction, that is the praise, the accolades, the kiss in their butt, if they can't get it that way, then they're going to engage in behaviors that's going to give them a rush from a negative reaction. So, you know, as long as it's feeding their need for narcissistic supply or narcissistic reinforcement, they're happy.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
So they just take her either way. It don't matter. Get it how you get it.
Just give me something. Gee. So once it is,
they're experts at pushing buttons.
Right.
You know, so if they feel that you're sensitive about your hairline or whatever, then they're going to be all over that.
Wow.
Sound like some of my cousins.
Right. Sound like all of your cousins.
Excuse me.
Man. Yeah.
By the way, there's an estimated 19 million narcissists in the United States alone, and they harm either physically, sexually, or emotionally up to 158 million Americans, almost half the U.S. population.
Did you say 19,000 effects?
19 million.
19 million. Okay, I was about to be like, whoa.
Yeah.
Not enough serious. That was about to be weird. Okay.
Wow. So like other like behavioral disorders, like can it be treated, or you just are what you are if you're a narcissist?
Well, a lot of people think that the underlying personality structure is, we would say, immutable and doesn't really change. Mm-hmm. But, you know, being a behaviorist and specializing in applied behavior analysis, behavior modification, what I do, and this is what I tell the clients who proclaim that they're narcissists, that as long as you keep the horse inside the corral, it doesn't really matter whether the underlying structure is changed or not. In other words, if you can treat people as if you have empathy and compassion and understanding, who's going to know the difference?
Did you just say fake it till you make it?
You can't fake it. I've been telling people that for years. You don't have to be nice. You just have to act.
Well, but it's not really faking it. It's actually becoming it, whatever that it is. So it's just like an actor, you know, some actors, they really take on a role of the character. The narcissist is really adept at taking on different roles anyway, like various characters. And so if they can take on the character of a caring, understanding person, they're not faking it. They're actually being it.
All right.
Oh,
interesting, man.
Shit.
But are they really being it though? Like, I mean, do they actually ever make the transformation to where they're not trying to be empathetic? They actually become empathetic?
Well, that's the $64,000 question. And as a behaviorist, we don't care as long as they treat people.
All right.
Yeah, as long as they treat people with decency and respect and kindness or whatever. Like, just to say, in a family where they're putting down the kids and, you know, beating the wife. I have one client, he's alcoholic, and we believe in narcissists, and he's like beating her in the face. Well, you know, if he's not doing any of those things in the domestic violence type interaction, I don't care whether the underlying structure is changing, because, you know, it's a safety issue in that case.
Right. Yeah.
So as long as they don't manifest themselves, and as long as the symptoms don't manifest themselves in a dangerous way, then from a clinical perspective, you're just trying to get to the root of it.
Yeah, see, here's what I think. I think that one of the reasons that they engage in the behaviors that they do, regardless of what the underlying personality structure is that nobody has ever shown them that there's an alternative. They've just been on autopilot for years, or decades and decades, you know what I mean? And so if I can show them that there's a payoff or the benefit to treating people as if they have empathy, I don't care.
So it sounds like there could be so are most narcissists, or a high percentage of narcissists, also sociopaths?
No, because they're driven by different forces. So it's definitely a separate category as far as the diagnostic category is concerned. So sociopaths can be narcissistic, and psychopaths can be narcissistic, but most narcissists are not sociopaths or psychopaths. But that can be the case. They can overlap. That's called the cluster B category of diagnosis. So that includes narcissists, sociopaths, psychopaths. Both of those come under antisocial personality disorder. And then there's histrionic and borderline personality disorder.
Wow. So can you break down those, like the differences, or not even the differences, just what they are specifically?
Yeah, man, this is kind of crazy too. But the psychopath, a lot of researchers and clinicians consider them to be more kind of predisposed genetically, as far as their genetic constitution, to be the way that they are, that they're kind of more inclined to manifest these characteristics at birth.
So born that way.
Yeah, because according to the studies that have taken place, they are less reactive to environmental stimuli, such as, let's say, for example, they're walking down the street and they see car wrecks, and there's people laying out there in the middle of the street, you know, bloody, broken arm, whatever. And they look over there, and most of us is like, ugh, but they are kind of like, oh, pass the salt, interesting. Kind of, that's their reaction.
It doesn't matter, get the bags.
Exactly. It's kind of like this, like, muted or deadened response to the situation. Whereas the sociopath, the way that they develop their sociopathy is through experience at a later age, when they start learning the ropes of manipulation, control, exploitation, and so on. So it's more learned. It's kind of like hanging out with the wrong crowd. You hear people say that they pick up on this, say, for example, a criminal kind of mentality. So, you know, the boundaries of right and wrong, they are less clear for them, and they really don't care. But the narcissist is driven by the need for this reinforcement of their self-esteem. So they're looking for opportunities to boost that ego, that inner sense of self-worth, through their interaction with people around them. And however they can get it, they're all about it, and they're always in search of it. So everybody in their social environment is a pawn, is a tool to be manipulated and controlled to boost their image of themselves, which is very, very low, and they're very weak, poor ego strength.
So the narcissists need to have likes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
So are narcissists and psychopaths emotionally stunted?
The narcissist is. The sociopath is not. I would not say that they are stunted. You're talking about developmentally. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, well, because when you mentioned about the car accident and your body's laying all over the place, and they'll be like, "Oh, okay." So is it because like they're not feeling empathy? So is that like emotionally stunted, or that's just not the capacity to feel empathy?
Okay, so the car accident thing, that's a psychopath.
Yeah, psychopath. Yeah, I thought I said psychopath. Oh.
Yeah. So their wiring is, they're wired in such a way that they don't react to those environmental stimuli in a way that your average person. The sociopath and the narcissist would still have a reaction to it. It's just the sociopath is kind of programmed in such a way that they don't give a flip about who they hurt and all that kind of thing. So you can have a corporate executive who lays off 20,000 people for the sake of return on investment of 10%, and they're good. You know what I'm saying?
That's a sociopath action, though, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just making sure. So the main difference between socio and psychopaths, just so that I'm understanding this, is that a psychopath is born that way, but a sociopath learns and is also lacking some of the empathy that the sociopath was born without of.
Yeah. Now, all of them, to some degree, lack the empathy, but the routes that they get to that point are different.
Different. Okay.
One is born, that's a psychopath. The other one is more learned through their association with dysfunctional social situations and other people. That's a sociopath. The narcissist, we didn't talk about how theirs is hypothesized to originate, but theirs comes from either not enough nurturing and encouragement and so on and so forth while they're in that early developmental stage from their caregivers, from mother and father. Either not enough or maybe too much,
So that be extremes
it's all
in the
connected
form
to
of
praise.
And that's the narcissist?
Yeah, man, this is kind of interesting because the narcissist is the perfect example, and this is in my book, in the story, The 25th Demon, that's on Amazon. I decided to,
make sure we plug that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I decided to illustrate what narcissism was like by telling a story and illustrating the characteristics by what the main character does. But they generally, there's two main routes that they go through in order to become narcissistic. And one is neglect and abuse by their caregivers early on. So in the book, he is sexually and physically and emotionally abused by his uncle and his older brother, which a lot of times an older sibling is the one who does the abuse. And so over a period of time, like say from 9 to 15 years old, they experience all of this unbelievable abuse and I can tell you stories just like trip you out. But anyway, in order to escape it without actually going bonkers, without developing hallucinations and other kind of delusional behavior, they go inside their head and create a fantasy image of who they are, and they project that to the world. That's their defense mechanism, and that's the narcissistic. Yeah. So that's the one route. The other route is that the parent, let's just say, and this would be like the affluenza phenomenon. The parent is a renowned surgeon, travels the world, or a corporate executive, travels the world. They're all over the place, Europe, South America, so on and so forth. Then they come home to Atlanta and the family meets them at the airport, and it's like, oh, daddy, I got first place in the band in playing the trumpet. And he's like, where's my dry cleaning? That's the father. So the point of it all is that the father is not really there for them, emotionally unavailable. And either they're making excuses for the kid's misbehavior, or they're buying them off with presents and so on and so forth. But if the kid is extremely attractive, which can be the case, then they're putting him up on a pedestal and giving them all of this praise and recognition. The kid starts to think that he's entitled or she's entitled to any and everything that comes their way. And so they become completely and totally self-centered as a narcissist. So there's those two routes. I've come to believe that there are some people who are predisposed genetically to be affected by the environmental events that we're talking about, more so than others. And the reason I think that is I've had some people in private practice who the grandparents were like that, and then their kids were not, but the grandchildren were.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So those are the routes for narcissism.
Okay.
I think it's fascinating that I've been using psychopath and sociopath interchangeably all of my life. Like, and now to know that there's a distinct difference in the definition of those two words, I'm tripping over here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, there's a lot of overlap too in some of the ways that they, like the lack of empathy, for example, thing, the tendency to want to manipulate and control other people to get their needs met and stuff. But the ones about the deadened down response to their environment, that's the psychopath.
So is there any connection, like, of any of the three with the need to place blame on others?
That's going to be your narcissist.
No, okay.
That's called projection. So usually if they're blaming other people of different things, they're the ones who are guilty of it. In particular, if they're blaming their spouse for having extramarital affairs, then they're the ones who are engaged in it. And so if the spouse knows about 5 people that they're engaged in these extramarital relationships, more than likely they're actually involved with, say, 20, 30. It could be as many as hundreds over decades.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Through Craigslist and what they call it, Backpage and all this stuff. They're all over.
All right.
Oh God.
So for those that listen to the relationship status, did you just say that the person who accuses people of cheating 9 times out of 10 is a cheater?
Very often, if they're a narcissist.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And narcissism derives from a need by not being met.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And that need is to boost their ego. That's basically what it boils down to.
Right.
Yeah, they get a rush from.
That is crazy.
It's really crazy.
Yeah. Wow.
So how do you apply this to black men in general?
Good question.
Ooh, great
Well,
question.
I should say something about that. I'm glad you kind of brought that up, because you have to be really careful when it comes to reviewing information, like, say, on YouTube. There's a whole narcissist survivor community on YouTube, and there's a lot of self-made pundits as far as the issue is concerned, and some of them are females. And they will tell you that because of their experience, that they believe that 90% of all black men are narcissists.
Right.
They'll say that.
Did you say 9% of us?
That's what they say.
That's what they say.
They. Okay,
That's
gotcha.
what they say.
That's a very high percent.
Damn, we
Right.
gotta catch a break.
That's high.
Not even from my sister.
9 out of 10 of us.
Yeah,
Hey, I said 80%. I was close.
Wow.
That's
in
an
actuality-
alarming rate.
Yeah, in actuality, in looking at the epidemiological studies, it's a little higher, but not that much. So
I'm sorry, did you say it was higher? So more than 9 out of 10 of us.
But not that much. So where, the epidemiological studies range between 4 and 6% of the general population, that would be 1 in 25. Okay, so if you go to a Kroger's and there's 200 people there, then 4 of them are going to be narcissists. Well, I'm sorry, 8 are going to be narcissists.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's not too bad.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on what's their job. Like, I don't know if I want my butcher being a narcissist, but
I need the butcher to be a narcissist. I don't need my janitor to be a narcissist.
I don't want the butcher to be a narcissist, because then he's the one with the knife and the blade, and I got to praise him for how thinly he slices my nah. Just.
But if it's a good butcher, just praise him. You feed that. You feed that pathology.
Yeah,
you cut the hell out of this ribeye.
But then if I don't, what's gonna happen to my meat?
Huh?
How about a therapist being a narcissist?
Oh God! Hey.
Oh wow!
What?
Wow.
Is that a thing?
I know one.
Wow.
Hilarious.
Huh?
So he's talking about
wow. So wow.
Mm-hmm. But it's kind of interesting.
Does that therapist have a therapist?
Well, I don't think so, because they don't think that they can benefit from a therapeutic process because they're perfect. I mean, that's the nature of the fantasy image that the narcissist portrays to the world.
Is there a way to treat any of I'm talking drugs, anything like that? I know they've been working with MDMA for PTSD and psilocybin as well. Is there any way to treat narcissism with something?
Well, what I do is, and that's what I was saying about using behavior modification, I try to get them I work with them to get to understand workarounds to empathy. So I know that they're not going to understand why their spouse would be upset about the fact that they've had 5 extramarital affairs and that they have a current girlfriend. They don't understand why the spouse would be upset about that. So,
I mean, in their defense, I don't understand why a spouse would be upset about that. It's 5 extramarital affairs and a girlfriend.
Yeah,
I don't understand why a spouse would be mad.
Well,
really?
I'm just saying.
I think when she pulls out that 38, you might understand.
Right.
Fair enough.
Jason's single.
Point.
Yeah, very much so.
So what I do is I try to get them to understand intellectually what kind of reaction other people would have to some of their behavior, and they get that, So in the one case that I just talked about, the guy had the girlfriend, and so I told the narcissist, I said, well, so what if your girlfriend established a relationship with another guy and start cheating on you? How would you feel about that? What would you do? What do you think he said?
Okay.
Nah, he definitely.
She wouldn't do that. She wouldn't do that.
She wouldn't do that.
Well, no, I'm saying
she wouldn't do that.
That's what he said.
She did.
Oh.
What if she did
Oh, wow.
What if she did that? Then what would you do? I asked the narcissist. What'd he say?
Leave her.
I feel like
he leave her.
I feel like he confront the dude.
He said he'd kill a dude.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's what he said. So what I'm saying is he didn't understand how the wife would be upset about it, but he understands what kind of impact it has on him when he loses something.
Wow.
Perfect. Well, I want it on the record. I was being sarcastic when I asked that question.
Oh man, yeah, this is absolutely fascinating. We might have to have a follow up on this because
I agree.
Yeah, that's if everybody's willing to show up again. And
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Well, here's another interesting thing, I think, just the FYI, that I'm discovering that, of course, it's not always male narcissists.
Right.
And some people think that it's, so much higher among males versus females. I just think that the females are a little bit more crafty in terms of the way that they hide their narcissistic traits.
Right.
So, but anyway, one of the things that I have to deal with from time to time is when the parent in a narcissistic family structure is a male or a female. I've had some situations where either the mother or the father narcissist abandons the entire family. There could be like 4 kids and stuff. And so I've seen, 2 families where that happened. One was male, one was female. And so then I'm stuck with having to help the children understand the concept of narcissism. I don't necessarily use the term, at least not initially, but I try to help them to understand.
What kind of term do you use in that scenario?
I was going to say.
Like,
Mommy's a jackass.
Talk to me like a 5-year-old. Tell me what you would tell me.
Okay.
Mommy's Donald Trump.
Well, I use the terminology emotional disability, but when I talk about emotional disability, I say to them, it's not unlike a diabetic. You cannot expect a diabetic to eat sugar sandwiches. They're just never going to do that. They don't have the capability of doing it. So that's one way. But another one, and this one's a little bit more tangible, I think, for them to understand, I say it's almost like they are quadriplegic in a wheelchair. You're never going to expect them to do a dance because they don't have the capability to do ballet or whatever because they're quadriplegic. Similarly, your mom and your dad just doesn't have the capacity to be able to show that love or be able to step inside your shoes and understand your pain and so on. And so, if you accept it on that level, then they can wrap their head around it.
Interesting.
Well, where am I supposed to
can
get
they
the love?
develop that? Can they develop that capacity, or are we just going to, as a quadriplegic, you look at them. Some you might say, okay, they'll never walk, but can a narcissist ever have the capacity to empathize?
Do you believe in miracles?
Well, it really goes back to what I said about keeping the horse inside the corral.
Yes.
If they can understand that there's a benefit to engaging in the compassionate, understanding, empathetic behaviors, then they'll do it,
And it's got to be something, and it can't be your kids will grow up and be healthy. It'll have to be what's in it for them.
Right.
Exactly.
Your kids will grow up and take care of you.
Empathy. Right. They're still working out of a self-interested, thinking about themselves reason for being empathetic.
A good parent.
Right.
I think you're exactly right.
Fascinating.
You have to sell it based on what's in it for them. So if you can get them to understand how it benefits them in one way or another. Now, I'll tell you one thing that they really trip on, and that is the image that they portray to the public. So if you can get them to understand that when they provide nurturing and encouragement and support, that the community sees them as being the best father, the best mother, or whatever, and that kind of thing, if you can sell them on it, but it's a tough sell, because they're so inside their head about the whole thing. But that's the only pathway that I know of that, kind of gets them motivated.
Everyone's going to love you. Everyone's going to love you, Johnny. All you got to get.
Right.
All you got to do is take care of your kid.
Send a child support payment.
I got 2 questions, Doc.
Yeah.
Are the numbers of narcissists in our society in America, is that on the upswing or remain constant? Where are we at on that tip?
Most people think that it's on an increase, and that has to do in part with social media. But if you think about the 2 routes that we talked about, that is one being the overindulgence thing, the not providing the emotional support and the boundaries and spoiling them to death, that would suggest that there's more either in the pipeline or already out of the pipeline. But then the other one is the abuse thing. And some of it has to do with the fact that, abuse is not so hush-hush as it used to be. I'm saying, so that's another factor. But in general, people think that it's on the increase because it's a me, I kind of culture.
Right.
I hear that. My second question was, how did you get interested in studying this? Because this is a fascinating focus on, like, just in your industry, but it's something also that I really misunderstood, to be honest. So I'm like, wow, how did you decide to focus on this?
Well, here's the saddest part of the whole thing. Most therapists really don't have that deep of an understanding of what narcissistic personality is at all. So I've had some clients who they say that they've been to 5 different therapists and none of them indicated that their spouse might have narcissistic tendencies, So that's one thing. But anyway, in my case, I had to study abnormal psychology and the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, all that stuff. And so I thought that, I did understand. But then I ran across a friend who, in fact, was a classic malignant narcissist.
Wow.
And I refer to that person as Narcissist 1. So, yeah, just like in public health.
Who's malignant?
This is when it started.
Right.
Yeah. So
Was it Al?
I went through my therapy, and so he's no longer a case.
Okay.
Gotcha, Narcissist 1. Gotcha.
Narcissist 1.
He's a cure case.
Al, you got a new nickname.
That's Alvin, Narcissist 1, Glymph, heads
Narcissist 1.
forth. Got it.
My wonderful co-host, Narcissist 1.
He actually, we transformed him into a saint.
Oh,
So Saint Alvin of Glymph?
Right.
It must only be effective Wednesday through Friday.
Right. Your new nickname is Narcissist 1.
Narcissist 1.
What a nickname. That's the dopest nickname.
When I ran across this person, I thought it was like, this is the weirdest experience that I've ever had with a friend and stuff. And so I started looking into it. And what I found out was that anytime you start looking into doing internet searches or looking on YouTube or looking through books to find out what's wrong with this person, there's something wrong with them. Like, seriously.
Right.
Yeah. And that's really kind of what started the wheels spinning. And then the more I studied the subject, the more fascinating it became to me. And then I ran across another therapist. Well, actually, he's a life coach, black male, who is very, very well-versed in the subject and had a girlfriend who was a narcissist and stuff. And so I've been kind of like conferring with him for the last about 2 or 3 years and so on. And so we feed each other as far as the content is concerned and bounce things off of each other. And then I start seeing more and more clients who have narcissistic tendencies. Most of them, the clients I see, are survivors of the physical, sexual, and emotional abuse and stuff. And just to give you an idea, most people don't understand what emotional abuse really is. They don't get it. And that's why, people who have experienced it, it's hard for them to express it to other people in a way that they can understand it. But I'm going to tell you just an example. I had one client, we think that his mother was the narcissist, and so he lived up north, right? And she, during the ages of about 9 to 13, she would lock him out of the house at random, and he had no alternative but to sleep up under the steps of his, in the wintertime, brownstone townhouse. At between 9 and 13, huh?
Jeez.
That's a lot, yeah.
So he was always on guard that he was going to get the rug pulled out from under him. The other thing was that he, from time to time, would have bedwetting incidences. So she made him go to school with those wet clothes on as punishment. Wow. And then kids teased him, having the clothes like that. And then what happened? He said that during his entire childhood, she never once said that she loved him. So his only source of reprieve was his grandmother. And when she passed away in 2014, he was like devastated. So he developed what we refer to as complex post-traumatic stress disorder, not unlike the people in Afghanistan and Iraq. But it's like this ongoing exposure to the various forms of abuse. I could give you other really crazy examples of it too, but I think that gives you a better feel for the kind of thing, the put downs, the insults, the, beaten with the frozen steak of all things. That's crazy.
What?
While they're in timeout.
See? The butcher.
I'm sorry, did you say Avery? Yep, you got it, Jay.
I told you.
My bad. My bad.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, that leads me to a simple question. Is there heredity involved? Is this something that we can pass on to our children if we are future children?
What's this
whoever?
weed stuff you talking about? First of all, Jay?
Yeah, who's? After listening to Doc, I have come to terms. This ain't me. This might be Al. This might be Al, but this ain't me.
Yeah, Al is Narcissist 1.
I gotta re-listen to this show and do the checklist.
You're right. I got to do the
Right.
math again. I'm gonna be honest. There was a lot of boxes to check off here.
Yeah.
And,
So what Jay is saying is, can he
this
pass
something-
this on to any of his?
can Jay pass this on, or are his sons narcissists? No, that's all I need to know.
Okay, so the solution to that is condoms. No, I'm just joking.
That's a fair answer. That's right.
You are a doctor. You are a doctor.
Doctor.
No, okay, so I kind of alluded to that earlier, that I've run across some cases where the grandparents had it, but the kid didn't have it, their child didn't have it, but the grandchild did have it.
Right.
So for that reason, I suspect that there can be genetic predisposition. So yeah, I personally think that the propensity to be affected by the environmental events can be stronger for some people. Some people are more sensitive to the abuse, the neglect, the mistreatment, and so on and so forth. That's what I
You
think.
could be predisposed to narcissism, but it truly depends. It's a nature nurture type thing. Like if they're born into a better situation than their narcissist grandfather, for example. Like if their grandfather was a narcissist, but mom or dad didn't show any narcissistic tendencies. If they're placed into a situation where there is no narcissist connection, is that something that they will just develop, or are they born with it like a psychopath?
Okay, so here's the thing. And this is the most important reason that I wrote the screenplay that we're trying to make into a movie, and the book that's available on Amazon, The 25th Demon. The reason that I'm really gung-ho about this project is that I want people to understand that if you want to inoculate kids against developing personality disorders, then the number one most important thing that you can do is to be there for the kid by providing the right amount of support, love, encouragement, and boundaries that you possibly can. And so that means being emotionally available and so on. And so in a way, I'm not against spanking kids. That's the decisions you have to make. But the problem with it, the downside is that there are some people who they just don't get it, and then they just take it so far. I mean, to the extent of breaking flower pots over people's heads and beating people with extension cords and belts and just all kinds of.
You're supposed to write movies. This is perfect. I said you're supposed to write movies. Like your screen. Sorry, like the stories that you have to be outlandish.
Oh man, shoot! That book. When I read the 25th Demon stuff, I look at myself and I'm like, did you really write that crazy mess like that, or what? Right. And so I'm writing the sequel right now to the first book and stuff, and should be available about October the 15th. The follow-up sequel to the first book and stuff.
Well, I'm gonna definitely. I'm actually gonna check out your first book.
Yeah, I'm already on Amazon. Like we're in here. Don't worry.
And everybody listening, we will have a link to the book on Amazon or go to defylife.com.
$9.99 for Kindle. As of right now, there's 5-star reviews. Let's get some more reviews. Let's get that read and find out what the reviews are.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Doc, it's been fascinating. Like I said, we are definitely going to have you back on. One thing I want to touch on when you come back is the female side of this. We want to dig deeper into that. So, we definitely.
Well, let me mention that they can find me on the psychologist therapist referral page, and I'm private practice at ThriveWorks Marietta. So I work a lot with the survivors, but sometimes the narcissists themselves. And I specialize in working with the African American males too.
Right.
You said Marietta, Georgia?
Yeah. ThriveWorks Marietta.
All right. Let's see.
Hey, I have a quick question.
The 25th Demon also has a trailer.
Yeah.
Out, and it looks like it could be really interesting. So check that out too.
Awesome.
Oh no, I'm reading it. Reading is fundamental.
There you go. Right. Oh man. Well, again,
hey, before you let Doc go, let me ask you a quick question.
Go ahead.
Hey Doc, so if I'm getting therapy for depression or anxiety, what can I expect to get out of that? Could I ever expect to be normal?
Well, some of it has to do with the degree of depression or the degree of anxiety. But in general, what I do as a behavioral counselor, behavior therapist, is to provide people with skills on how to manage their emotional states by managing their cognitions, their thought process. It's called metacognition. So it's thinking about what you're thinking about. So I help them to train themselves or redesign who they are as individuals to be able to better manage the emotions that are coming in from experiences that they have in their environment. I tell people, if you live long enough, you're going to experience some bumps in the road. So it's good to have a repertoire or a skill set of techniques in your little satchel to manage that. And so everybody at one time or another is going to experience something. So I use all this stuff myself because I like to be happy.
Right.
Yeah, that makes
keep
sense.
Tools.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Keep tools.
Absolutely. Well, Doc, again, everybody out there, again, this Dr. J. Parker Griffin Jr., thank you so much for joining us. Again, we're going to have you back. This has been an extremely fascinating conversation.
Truly.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And,
Absolutely.
No doubt. We'll be in touch. You have a good night.
Have a great evening.
Thank you.
You too. All right, Jay is a legitimate narcissist.
Yeah.
That's legitimate. I heard all of the things he explained to us. He told us all of the different ways. And Narcissist 1, Glymph, is actually out. That's what's
right.
That's correct.
Right. And,
that's the takeaway.
And Jay, you're right. You're absolutely a sociopath.
I tried to tell you, dude. I tried to tell you.
I can't believe you outed me like this, though, but that's what's up. That's okay.
Yeah, man. Well, yeah. Al, good connect. Really good convo. We're going to have him.
I'm 2 for 2. When I come with a guest,
right.
I come with the heat. But nah, he was great. I'm real glad we got him on tonight. So that's what's up.
Absolutely.
Good work, Jake. Making it happen quick, sir. That was like real. That's what's up. Good work, sir.
No doubt, man. Yeah. So, I mean, we missed last month on the wellness segment. What I was trying to avoid was getting like a boatload of either Glymphs or doTERRA reps. And we'd had 3 straight in either of those categories. So I was like, we need somebody outside of that box. So that was perfect.
Yo, I mean, and that's why, things worked out perfect. He reached out to me on just some else, just like, hey, you know what? People need to hear you. And I'm so glad it worked out because it was very, very, very informative.
Yeah, he's good he was good for a podcast. If you got questions, comments, or concerns, he had the answers.
Right. So, yeah. So
that was dope.
He may be a regular guest of the Defy Life podcast. I think we found one.
Interested to see what the movie could,
absolutely.
That trailer's out there.
Yeah, and we definitely again, everybody we'll have go to godefylife.com, and check for the link directly to the book, and you'll see the
definitely.
trailer. But,
I'm looking at the Kindle book now. You got to look inside and everything. We're good.
Right.
The phrase
right
y'all
now.
can hear from me on the regular is "feed the pathology."
Feed the pathology. That's
Feed the pathology.
Yeah.
Feed the pathology.
But so Al,
Psychopaths Born that way.
Right. So you be the only one here because I think it was, and Pooh, you may. I don't know if you were on that episode, but it was. I know Keon was on at that point, but do you remember, Al, when DeMarcus Cousins got shipped off to Memphis? I mean, to New Orleans. And I called him a narcissist. And I called DeMarcus Cousins a narcissist. Yes. And Keon gave me the business. Like, you don't know, but everything that he just described about narcissism falls right in line to DeMarcus Cousins, not now, but his time in Sacramento. And
I could see that.
Right. That's why I asked the question about blame, because at that point, remember DeMarcus, everything that he would,
it was never his fault.
Text was never his fault. So that's why I asked that question.
I could definitely see the correlation. And the first person I thought about, I thought about KD.
Definitely
wow.
Narcissistic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also sociopathic. I want that on the record as well.
He does. Yeah. Wow. That's interesting. Well,
right.
Let's jump back into to what we were talking about before the break, before we get into the listening questions. So we left off our conversation before we talked to Dr. Griffin. Money was talking about, giving up his season tickets with the Hornets and his disappointment with where the franchise is heading. And my question before we got off is, I wanted to give you time to think about it, everybody, because I always say this. And what kind of triggered this for me, I remember when I was doing mock drafts for the old website, and the Raiders, especially in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, they were kind of an easy target. So in one of my mock drafts, I made of course, the Raiders were picking first or second, somewhere in the top 5, like they usually do.
Quit hating.
And the Raiders ain't good enough to hate, sir. But I made some kind of comment about the Raiders, and somebody commented in the comment and just lashed out at me for talking shit about the Raiders. And my reply was that, being a fan of a team is a choice. So, if you choose to be a fan of a shitty team, don't be mad when somebody calls them a shitty team. So that's kind of like, I never understood like how you can support a team for that long if they're constantly giving you a subpar product. So that's why I asked Money, and that's partly why I just can't find it in myself to give that kind of emotional, like
credence,
but just like the abundance of emotion to more than one franchise. And and of course,
oh, that's fair. Okay.
I got lucky, I guess, because the Steelers are always competitive. At least in my lifetime, they have been. And so,
but that means you've never gotten to experience the ebb and flow. So the joy of being a team, like I'm going to go ahead and address this if you don't mind. I've been a Warriors fan my whole life.
I have got this because there have been like 3-4 year spans of the Steelers going 8-8, 7-9, missing the playoffs. So I've experienced that, but I don't know how you could do it for prolonged
my whole life
periods.
We just started winning 6 years ago.
Yes, that's what all of y'all. That's what I'm trying to the Hornets started this conversation, but the Jets, the Warriors. I don't get how. And I'm serious. That's a real question.
So
what gets you up for that?
part of it for me is, and I alluded to this when I first kind of went into my answer, is like, in my heart of hearts, I believe that the community supports the team and the team supports the community.
Money said, hey.
Yeah, like the worst you've seen is 8 and like what? Dude, what?
My bad.
Yeah, that's a good season.
That's a good season, bro. on the aggregate, that's average.
Yeah, that's a good season.
Oh, my bad. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, you and I, and I'll actually let me just say, for instance, New England Patriots fans that are 20 years old or younger have no idea
all millennial
what
Patriots
we're
fans.
talking about.
They
just have no idea what it's like to have go year after year after year of your team not winning. And like eventually it's coming for them. Mm-hmm. But if you're 20 years old and you were born in Boston, you have no clue what it's like for your team to struggle. They have no idea what their team was like before 1996.
Right.
Yeah,
and I can give you a legitimate flip-flop. I grew up in San Francisco. So I grew up with the Niners just winning and then not winning real hard. Like I've seen the success. So I can understand where you're coming from the successful. I expect my team to at least compete. I expect yada yada yada. Expectations are where that starts to come into play. Then you have a bad year, and then you have a couple of bad years. Then your owner gets caught up in some nonsense. Then the team is sold, and now they're in Santa Clara. Like, to see it's the rise and fall of everything. It's always going to be an ebb and flow. And if you're not even willing to like, you just want the Steelers, okay, you guys don't win every time. You've won a lot.
Yeah, but I ain't saying like ultimately winning a championship. I'm saying like giving me a crappy product every year. Like, so for me, that's not even ebb and flow. That's the total opposite end of the spectrum of the Patriots.
Yeah, the Niners did the flip-flop.
You look at the Warriors and you look at their payoff, right? So I think to me, like, that's the reason you hang in there, because you know one day it's going to happen. And I'm a Cowboy fan. I started off as a kid. We were winning. My teenage years, not so much. My 20s, we began winning again. My 30s, 40s, not so much. And you just know, though, that at some point it's going to change. And all my life I've been a Jet fan. We've never really been that good. And in some years, not only was the product unsuccessful, but it was dysfunctional. Mm-hmm. And as a fan, for me, I'm hanging in there hoping that it changes around, knowing that nothing stays the same. But I got multiple teams in every sport. So I'm like the opposite dude from you. Yeah, I fall in love 7-8 times a year. Every year I'm pulling for all these franchises like kids. Like, you ain't got no favorite kid. I love them all. Let's go, franchises. One of y'all gonna win this year. That's how I look.
And I guess that probably speaks to why I don't have an NBA team. Like, I've had favorite players because I know they're gonna give me stellar play every year. So, I was a Barkley fan. I was an LJ fan. I was a Shaq fan. I'm a LeBron fan. I know they're gonna show up every night. Fuck their team. They might not. Like, I can't invest myself emotionally into somebody who's not giving me anything in return. I don't know how it. Like Cleveland Browns fans, I don't know how they do it.
I don't understand them either. I'll be honest. Them and Detroit Lions fans, I've met a few, and I just don't. I asked each one why.
It's a community thing, man. It's a community thing.
And I'll give you that.
What about Detroit fans or Cleveland fans that aren't from Cleveland?
Well, those are I don't know. That's weird. An anomaly. Yeah, that's weird.
Like, and I can understand Lions fans to a certain extent, because at least they've had players that they can be proud of.
Yeah, you got a Barry Sanders, you got a Megatron,
exactly.
You got
Cleveland. Yeah. Like, what have you like lately in recent.
Yeah, I think they had some dudes in the 40s or something.
That's what I'm saying. Like in recent.
They had a
history.
Jim Brown. They had an Ernest
Yeah.
Miner.
Oh God, yeah, like.
I mean,
And that's why it did so good for them to win that NBA championship a few years back, because that city particularly has had their sports heart broken, year after year after year after year. So for the most part, and so because generally like you can become a fan of a team that's across the country. For whatever reason, that's your favorite color. You've been watching them since you was 5 years old, or that was your dad's favorite team, or your mom, or whatever. But for the most part, the people in that community are endeared to that team, and vice versa.
That man, that's like, that is the like being a Browns fan is the one like. Personality disorder you hope does not get passed down.
Nah, man, I disagree because people probably say that about the Jets.
People love the Browns, man.
That's the problem.
If this who you rock with, this who you rock with, and
that's
I just
who you
feel
rock
like
with.
If that's your crew, you hope they win.
That's your squad.
But your love for them isn't dependent on them winning.
Like
that's not how
they down the street.
But I say that like I can
you can get to.
Like I can respect your son Al, because as a kid the Cowboys suck. He just happened to be born at the time when the Cowboys weren't good, and he happened to be born at the time the Steelers were. He was like, "Fuck that," and whatever my daddy think, I'm rolling with these dudes. Like I got to rock with them for the rest of my life. He broke your heart.
He broke my heart. So what happens? What happens when they start sucking? Do you jump ship?
Right. Does he jump ship? That's the.
I'll put it like this.
Like there's a redemption you get, Jay.
Yeah, but I put it like I'm
break
40.
my heart again if he was like,
I'm 40.
Dang,
he got
it's
a
been
line
10
like
years since the Steelers.
I'm a Warriors fan and a Giants fan, so I didn't get to see them win for many years of my life.
So is that that's what I'm asking. So is it really hope? What keeps you there?
But
you invested, hope. You really invest.
At that point, you put your heart, soul, blood, sweat, tears, everything is involved in that. Like that's what you grew up with. That's what you with.
Yeah, that's who you rock with. That's who you rock with.
I think it's a loyalty because this my crew.
That's who you with.
This who we with.
But it's 31 other crews to choose from.
Them. Let's get it.
You're right.
And it don't work like that.
You're
because
right.
Let me tell you. When your team, especially, man, in 2016, 15, when we had that Super Bowl run, do you know how emotionally satisfying it was? Because we spent a long time. Well, I won't even say it because we had some spotty years, but we spent several years not good. And so if you are just able to just pick the good team, you never actually get the true satisfaction of, well, my team done arrived. Well, my team ready. Well, my team primed. And you never get that satisfaction to really enjoy the good times if you only riding with the teams that are good.
No,
you gotta go through those emotional heartbreaks.
Yeah, but that's not what I ain't talking about just like rocking like my cousin Jay and just rocking with the team that's hot at the moment. I'm talking about how for a team that you've never seen win, like the Hornets. And these Hornets. I'm talking about these Hornets. These Hornets. I ain't talking about the Hornets that are now in New Orleans known as the Pelicans. I'm talking about these Hornets.
Shots fired.
I think not everybody connects with a fan. They don't connect with a team like my son did where they became winning. They were winning, then he became a fan. Like, some of us, we connect with teams, whether it's your favorite player from college goes there, or this is the team that plays in your community, or for whatever reason, you just start becoming emotionally attached with that franchise. Win or lose. And now this is who I rock with. That's one of my favorite teams.
It could be as simple as I went to school in Colorado and they only showed me ACC basketball. It just happened to be 97, 98. So I got Vince Carter, Antoine Jameson, Mokhtar Jai, Ed Cota, and Shammond Williams. So now I'm just with North Carolina. Like, it just is what it is. It's like,
but I mean,
that's
like,
what happened.
I just don't get it. Like, when I was a kid, all they showed was Braves games. I hated the fucking Braves. Maybe when they got good, I hated the Braves.
Yeah, but you don't like baseball. This ain't a good example.
As a kid, I did like baseball.
Okay, and I was stuck with the Giants the whole time. And then all of a sudden, in 2001, they won one.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, but
Or
you like them. When I don't get how you
2011.
can like them when they like. If you just
See, if
starting
you
off and
hung
you
in
got
with
a
the
choice,
Braves, if you
I
had
would
hung
have
with the Braves till the
had
90s,
one. I would have
you
had
could
one
have
World
been-
Series.
Okay,
I feel
but that's
you,
not
but
more
what
than
was-
some teams got.
But as the,
I don't
as
even
the
know how to
Giants,
explain this to Jay if he don't get it. Like
that's what I'm saying. This
I
was
don't
the
get
first
my
argument
squad.
I had.
I just don't get how you can support like emotionally a team that
Like-
you know is gonna like you going into every season knowing. Now you might hope, but you know that they're gonna suck.
Right. Like, I know.
don't
Look,
get how
let
you
me
can
put
do
it to
that.
you. I'm gonna put it to you in gambling terms, Jay. If I have $20, whenever I'm standing there, I'm putting $10 just on the Niners, just cause. Good, bad, indifferent, doesn't matter the odds, and then $10 on who I think is the actual favorite.
Can I also say that real fans recognize real fans when
Mm-hmm.
those fans who have suffered when they finally win,
It's
other
different.
fans of other franchises look at you and be like, yo,
It feels
way to
nice.
hang in there, son.
Right. It
I know
feels
you enjoying this day. I've had Giant fans call me when the Cowboys finally won the Super Bowl in the 90s. And they were calling me like, yo, Al, because I know you was crying for the last 6 Thanksgivings when they sucked. And I know you so happy now. I had to call you just to give you love, son, because you hung in there and we've been giving you the business for the last decade.
Congratulations.
And I absolutely,
I can
absolutely
say that
get
as
that.
a San Francisco Giants fan. Like, I was hanging out with a Boston Red Sox fan the day the Giants won. And a Red Sox fan. They were still mid-curse, like 100 years in. And he was just like, how does it feel? Does it feel like I think it did? And when he won, I had to say the same thing. Like, dude, the curse is broken. How does it feel?
And I get that. Like I always say this. Like and I ask this question because I ain't not in jest, but because I'm really like I'm perplexed by it. But I always say like every fan deserves to see their team win a championship. You know,
And they will as long as they live long enough. And
but that's what I'm
Fight
saying.
for it.
But that's what. Every fan won't. Like we just talked about 100-year
agree.
curse, but so it's not gonna happen for everybody.
No, it doesn't. Like,
but
my
even
grandfather
worse to
never saw
me,
the San Francisco
right?
Giants win, but he made me love baseball.
Right,
And
but
so when the
even-
Giants won their first one, I cried because my granddad didn't. My grandpa didn't get to see it, but I did, and he put that love in my heart. So now I'm carrying his love too.
But even beyond that, to have a team that's not even competitive, like it's different saying I ain't never seen my team win a championship, and knowing going in we probably gonna be 2-14 this year, every fucking year. How do you support that?
See,
You just do.
you know what? Ask that question again in 14 years because we're gonna meet a Lions fan one day. A Lions fan that was born exactly with enough time to be old enough to understand the 0-16 Lions and watch his team go through the whole thing. He's going to watch them go through the whole thing, and at some point they're going to end up in the Super Bowl.
They probably said that 14 years ago.
They said it to me every year.
That's what I'm saying.
Because it doesn't happen that much in football anymore. Usually the windows of you being really bad are smaller now.
Yeah, like you can compete at the very least.
But
Those two
but
Giants
for
teams that
instance,
beat the Patriots were not necessarily the superior team.
No, they're about even. I mean, this has been traditional. There's about 2 to 3 teams in every sport that every year they're gonna suck. They may have one good year every 12 years.
the Baltimore Orioles have been bad for
So long now.
30.
Right.
I would say
so
45
Right.
years.
They're one of those teams.
Yeah, for so long, but they're still there, and they always make it a problem for the Yanks and the Red Sox right before the playoffs. They do it every year.
That's your saving grace. Like
that's what they got. They're scrappy. They're from Baltimore. What do you expect?
I don't know. I just don't get it. I never will.
More.
Like I cannot. I don't know. Like money. I don't know how you had season tickets the last 8 years. I don't know how you did it.
I do because NBA games are amazing.
NBA games are amazing.
No.
The atmosphere is amazing.
NBA games are terrible in the regular season.
No.
You need better
especially. Yeah.
NBA games,
especially
in the regular season.
NBA games are amazing.
No, man. Especially when you get to watch a guy like Kemba every night, or whoever the other best players, whoever the other team's best player is. Like, man, like there isn't a star in the NBA that I haven't seen play.
And like but they directly. Like NBA games, the regular season NBA is horrible in comparison to regular season NFL games.
The regular season NBA games, you can talk to the people as they walk in. Depends on where your seats are. Like, I was lucky enough when I was in Denver to have access to seats that were right next to the visitors' tunnel. So I show up to a game warriored out. They're playing the Warriors. This is the Melo, Iverson Nuggets. There's nothing like talking to your team as they're walking in and having them acknowledge that you're one of their fans in that building.
No, yeah, I'm different in that regard too. Like, none of that shit matters to me. I'm talking about the actual game.
I always enjoy the game. I mean,
Jay got psychopath tendencies.
Yeah, I always enjoy.
No. He was born that way.
Yeah, I was born that way. I respect winners. Like, I ain't shucking my money out to you, and you don't even give me a winning product. Like, that's horrible.
That 2012 season was tough because remember the 2011 season we went to the playoffs.
For the Hornets.
And we lost to Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
And
man,
then
I got to be in the Hornets building. I know what he's talking about. I got to see.
And the next season was that 7-59 season, and boy, the games were over. The games were over by the middle of the second quarter. I mean, we'd be down by 35, and so we were bad. And then you just find something else to do while we stinking it up. Like it's all. It's a whole arena. Like, it got bars and restaurants and all types of stuff. So
there's stuff in there.
Yeah, but you know where they also have that kind of stuff at? Outside of the arena, when you ain't got to pay for the game that sucks. Just go to a bar or to a restaurant.
Man, but the cool thing about teams that suck is that, like, when the Hornets,
just say the cool
I got
thing
to
about
go see the Warriors. Yeah, yeah, man. The cool thing is being the away team. I got to go see the Warriors play the Hornets for $8 total, 2 tickets. It cost me more to buy one beer in the arena than it cost me for my tickets.
That's $8.
And I got to watch a young Steph Curry hit a then career high 43 points. Like, the NBA games are they're so
but
intimate.
That's a one-time event. I'm talking about supporting a team over years and decades of sucking.
Well, we haven't sucked for decades. Like I said, the year before we went to the playoffs, and like a couple years after that.
That's what I'm saying. There's gonna be blips on the radar every now and then.
You know what? This is all I have for you, Jay. There's gonna be a point where the Pittsburgh Steelers are no longer perennial contenders.
Are you gonna jump ship?
What are you gonna do?
No, because like I said, they've earned the benefit of the doubt. Is what I'm
saying.
Yeah,
by winning. They did that for you.
Exactly. Yes, but that's what I'm saying. Like,
that's what the Niners have done for me. They're not good right now.
But the Niners are not who I'm talking about, because they have been good at some point. I don't think y'all getting what I'm saying. I'm saying a team that has never been good, i.e. the Hornets, the Browns, like those kind of teams. What have they ever done for you to earn your emotion, all this emotional capital you've given them?
Then it goes back to the community. They have kept me safe in the neighborhood.
Oh, man.
I don't think it's about earning. I really don't think it's about
my tax dollars support them. I might as well support them. I love them. And then when we haven't been bad, we just haven't been championship caliber. But we haven't always been bad. So I'm not trying to hear that. That's
the
correct.
Hornets went to the playoffs the same year I was just talking about. Like,
About 2011
I'm talking about 2013.
or whatever 1 year that was.
It was 1 year, and it happened.
In
I
the
couldn't get tickets the next year for $8.
In the 7 years I've been a season ticket holder, we went to the playoffs 3 times. 8, and if you count the year I only did it for like 20 games, we went to the playoffs that year too. So we went to the playoffs 4 times in 8 years. So,
And you lost in the first round every year.
That's correct.
They went to the playoffs.
Man, it does matter. Like, I don't know. Like,
Doesn't matter. Went to the playoffs.
Y'all sound like an Al. This ain't no shot because you're not an Atlanta sports fan. But y'all sound like Atlanta sports fans.
There's no way I sound like Atlanta sports fans from the back.
And
there's just no way.
And I'm just saying this because I've lived in Atlanta.
Winning.
And I say this about Atlanta sports teams, even college teams. Like, not necessarily Atlanta, but University of Georgia, the Hawks, the Falcons. They want to win.
The Braves win one?
They just don't need to win. There's a difference. And so when you say, like, oh, we went to the playoffs, and we lost in the first round, but it don't matter. Like, that's just accepting mediocrity to me. I don't know.
All right,
I will say Atlanta does have issues with mediocrity.
Going to the playoffs is mediocrity.
I would admit that.
Yeah, half the teams go to the playoffs. That's the definition of mediocrity.
Part of my beef is the general direction of the team. So, I'll give you that.
I don't know. But we're going to jump to the listener questions. And the first question just happens to be NBA related. So Jared from Richmond, Virginia, and shout out to Richmond for being consistently in the top cities listening to the Defy Light podcast.
Richmond, VA.
No doubt. Also the hometown of Regular Scott. Jared wants to know, who is currently the best duo in the NBA? And I'll just run down a few. If I miss some, let me know. So, of course, we got LeBron and AD in L.A. We got now Kawhi and PG-13 in L.A. I don't even know, should I include Kyrie and KD? Because they're not a duo yet. Got Clay and Steph. Clay will be back at some point next season.
So you go Steph and Dre.
Yeah, we can go Steph and Dre. We got CP3 and James Harden. We got Joel Embiid and either Ben Simmons or Al Horford, whichever one you want. We got CJ McCollum and Dame. We got Luka and the Unicorn. We got John Wall and Bradley Beal. And now we got Kemba and some people will say Jason Tatum. Some will say Gordon Hayward. Pick one. It could probably be any of them on a given night. Al, you first. Who's the best duo in the NBA right now?
I think, to me, it just is only between duos in L.A. That's me. And I before Clay's injury, I would have put him in that conversation. But that's, he is injured, so he's not. Right. And it's a real tough call.
We could go Julius Randle and Frank Nicolina, but we'll leave them out.
Hate.
I was going with Julius Randle and Dennis Smith Jr.
Oh,
but
okay.
That's okay. I was going to bring that up.
You're not even going to add RJ. You're not even going to add RJ.
Not yet. I'm just like, how you just going to diss the Knicks like that? You brought Porzingis ass in there. He ain't even played, but that's okay. Let's see. So I'm going to go with, and it's really a flip of a coin because I'm going to go with Kawhi and Paul George.
Okay.
I think their youth, their defense, both of them, their all-around offensive game makes them like just a great duo. Now, that being said, I think from a basketball perspective, I think they're kind of duplicative though. Mm-hmm. So if you asking me who would I start my franchise with, like, I think I would go with LeBron and AD just because, to me, they fit different roles on the team. Gotcha. But just talent for talent, I think I would go with Paul George and Kawhi.
Okay. Pooh, what say you? Which duo you going with? Besides Mike and Scotty.
I guess so.
They not going.
Of course, I like, PG-13 and Kawhi, but it's definitely gonna be hard to go against Bron and the Brow.
All right.
Because everybody's just playing now up on the board, right? So, are we going people that's played together?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Otherwise there would be a duo.
That was a crazy question, right? Yeah. I didn't mean it like that. I'm saying you're right. That I did mean it like that. But I'm gonna go with the Brow. I tried to bail out of it, but I had nowhere else to go. But
I can't say I'm taking LeBron and Wilt.
The parachute had a lot of holes.
Right.
Hey, y'all crazy, man. Hey, yo, wow. But I'll do with even though they haven't played a game yet. That's what I meant. I was talking about the new guys traded in, about to play together. That's where I was going with it. Even though I feel like, even though they haven't played a game yet, I just think they're gonna be, pretty formidable. It's gonna be inside, outside, up and down. I think Bron and the Brow are gonna be pretty tough.
All right.
So I'm gonna go ahead and take them, even though they haven't played together.
Gotcha. All right. Money. Who you going with?
Well, it's tough to not pick Anthony Davis and LeBron James at this point. That's tough to do. I've watched. I just think they're going to be so formidable offensively. And I will say this. So there are some weaknesses there. LeBron's win shares on his defense hasn't been good in years. Right. He plays defense selectively these days. Anthony Davis is often hurt for all types of reasons.
Again, that's a myth. We cleared that myth up in one of the shows you were out. Yes, we did. Over the last 4 seasons, he's averaged 72 games a year. So that's no longer the case. That's kind of a stigma attached to him from early in his career, but it's no longer true.
I blame the unibrow.
Is that what you blame?
What else is there to
I
blame?
just want to clean up the narrative. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, I'll accept that. He does miss games, though. He does miss games, and who knows what's going to be happening with load balancing and all that. So we'll see. We'll see. However, I'm gonna go. God, it's tough. I like them both. I like both LA's duos. I like PG, and I like Kawhi. I think they're also going to be equally as tough to stop, and both of those players defend at an elite level, non-apologetically. So I would get in there the youth. Some of the things that Al said, I also agree with. I think I give them a slight edge, but I can't take anything away from that. Lakers duo either. I'm very, very I can't wait to see these duos in action all across the NBA, not just in LA. But I think it's like everyone's got two guys, and it's gonna be fun to watch.
Right. And again, just to clean up the narrative, you do know Kawhi missed 25 games last year.
But that was load balancing.
I know you brought up load balance. That's why I said it.
Yeah.
Is that a new term? I don't think I heard that term before.
Yeah, it's actually a term now. It used to be DMP, coach's decision, or rest. Now it's load balance.
So they call that and load management the same thing. I mean,
yes.
player maintenance. So that's just something we made up.
Yeah, player maintenance,
Okay.
load management, same thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah,
Let's not forget Philly's duo.
Isn't that a teacher service day?
Which one you going with? Who?
Oh, and Philly. Good point.
Yeah. Who you going with? You going with Simmons or Horford? As the two.
In combo with Embiid.
Yeah.
Who, me?
I was thinking Simmons, but what about Tobias though? I mean, but I was thinking Simmons.
Okay.
To me, Tobias isn't. To me, Tobias isn't there yet. I think he can be, but I don't think he's there yet.
He's gonna need to be this year.
Yeah. I mean, Tobias not a bad player. I don't think he's a
No,
player.
he's
you
very,
want to put
very,
in.
very talented.
Yeah, I don't think you want to put him. I don't think you want to put him in like this conversation as like best duos in the league. I don't think he makes that cut, but I don't know. Jay, where you going?
I like Ricky Rubio and DeAndre Ayton.
Jay, where you going?
I like Devin Booker and all right. Although I do like Ricky Rubio and Devin Booker, I just want that on the record. But the honest answer is PG and Kawhi. Their versatility is insane. Yeah. Like they both can score, they both can defend, they both can defend multiple positions. Like they are up and down from 1 through 4.5. I'm gonna say 4.5 because they're good for the double team or the weak side defense on the 5. They are mid-range capable. They are drive and slash capable. They are 3-point capable. They are an overall problem.
All right.
Added to a Clippers team that already took the Warriors to 7. The supposedly unbeatable Warriors at the time to 7. They hurt DeMarcus Cousins. They, you know what I mean? Like they were. Patrick Beverly was legitimately in Kevin Durant's head for 2 games. That actually happened.
Yeah, that whole team is going to be a bitch to score on. Like that defense is
their wing defense problem. Their wing defense is a problem right now. Like actually getting to the lane.
Even their post defense. Montrezl Harrell ain't no slouch defense.
I wasn't even going to bring up Trez yet. I was going to leave Trez out for right now.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't got there yet.
Any love at all? Any love? I'm going to name 4 names on 2 teams. Any love at all for
who's the Joker
Zion Williamson and
Drew Holiday.
Nope. Not this conversation.
And Jamal Murray and
ooh, that's a nice one. Joker.
And the Joker. Yeah.
Yes, there's love for them as well.
I mean, there's love, but they ain't cracking. Yeah, they ain't cracking.
Like if I have to take Paul George and Kawhi against any of the other duos, I'm gonna take my chances.
All right.
And feel confident.
Yeah, 100% confident.
But here's the thing, though. Like we're assuming Kawhi and PG are gonna be healthy, right?
Presently,
they typically always are.
Well, no. Kawhi just missed the whole season. Listen to what I'm saying.
PG's had surgery.
If we're walking in reality, they're not always healthy. No player really is. So be real is what I'm saying. We're assuming that we can't give the benefit of the doubt to Kawhi and PG that they're gonna be healthy, and then say, well, if LeBron's but
we also can't give the benefit of the doubt to LeBron and AD that they're going to remain healthy because LeBron missed a gang of time.
Right. LeBron missed 17 games. Right. So what I'm saying is all the conversation we've had has been around, well, if AD is healthy, if LeBron is healthy, you got to ask those same questions about Kawhi and PG.
Yeah, that's why I'm going with Ricky Rubio and Devin Booker. That's what I had said.
So realistically, what I'm saying is, fuck Ricky Rubio. And 2,
ain't no Rick.
Nah, I like Ricky.
Yeah, don't be hating on Rubes.
I like Rick, but he don't belong in this conversation. Is what I'm saying.
No, he don't.
No, but not so with that, I'm saying all 4 players healthy. LeBron's still the best player in the league if he's healthy. And I think I will put Kawhi number 2 because KD's hurt.
This KD is hurt.
And this is assuming everybody's healthy at full speed. I'm going still LeBron's the best player in the league. I'm going Kawhi 2. And that leaves, I don't think you find a general manager in the league that would take Paul George over Anthony Davis.
No.
That's why it's so tough. It's so tough to.
It's classic size, man.
No,
it's so tough to say.
It's not just size.
No, it is though. It's classic size. That's the difference. Like he's Wilt sized. He's Kareem sized.
I
He's
thought you were saying it's classic,
sized.
just like I thought you were saying it's just his size. But yeah, like
no. Like he's a classic Lakers center sized.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. But for whatever reason, like if we're comparing duos, both of those players rank higher than their counterpart.
All right, so if we play
assuming you
old
go
school
with the
NBA Jam,
analysis that LeBron is the best player in the league,
right?
Okay,
that's what I'm saying. If we play NBA Jam,
so you're saying without the like argument that Kevin Durant is better than LeBron, are you saying that somebody else is better than LeBron when he's fully healthy?
I will accept a Kawhi argument any day right now.
I'm about to say, why not Kawhi? Why hasn't Kawhi earned that?
Any day. I will accept a Kawhi, and I'll accept them as 1A, 2A, or 1A, 1B, and 1C.
Okay, you ask me why, and I'll tell you why. And this is my opinion. I've told you this before, Al. Like, every year, it's kind of like when people will say, man, this dude better than Adrian Peterson. But it's a different dude every year where somebody try to throw up against the wall and say they better than LeBron.
That's fair, but Kawhi's now done it a few times. We're okay with it.
No, he's done it 1 year where he's been the best player in the league.
That's arguable because with the two defensive player of the years.
Well, that's defensive player of the year. He wasn't the best player.
Exactly, which means he's the most complete player in the league.
Does not mean he's that. No, that means he's the best defensive player in the league.
Right, except he's won a title doing it, and that's all I'm saying. Like he's the most complete.
But even
player
in those
in the league.
years, he was not the best player in the league. You're saying in a league that existed with Durant and LeBron, Kawhi at some point was over, not just defensively. He was the best player in the league in the past.
I'm saying
that's a question. I'm asking.
Certainly he was on the list to be considered. But was he the best of those years? No, he was not.
Exactly. So that's what
it was LeBron and KD that entire time. But this year, Kawhi took a step. And so if we're talking about the present, Kawhi's in that conversation presently.
Right. That's just why I said he's second. But like to me, and again, this is how I view it, and I said this before, is every year there's a different dude they throw up and say. So to me, it's just saying they did the same thing with Kobe, with Shaq. Every year there's a different dude they throw up to say this dude's better than that guy, but that guy is still always at the top. You get what I'm saying? So every year, like I always say, it's going to be blips on the radar every year.
I appreciate that logic, but I try to just look at it objectively year to year. And just try to look at it and say, who do I think is the best player in the league? And when he says Kawhi took a step forward, I think LeBron took a step back. And I just not major, not to where he's, and not elite, but I just think in that slippage and Kawhi's progression, he's ahead of him.
Yeah, and that's why we've had that conversation before, and because by that logic, there have been over 500 best players in the league. If we're just going on a year-to-year basis, there have been not 500.
Yeah, right. It's only been how many years?
You get what it's hyperbole is what I'm saying, but we could say there's been years that. Everybody can have a good year. Somebody can have a great year. To me, that don't make them the best player in the league because to me that, how short are you willing to go? So that's just
right.
That's just
I get that, but I think to West Coast point, Kawhi's been in the conversation for a few years though. So it's not like
he missed the whole season last year.
And the Greek Freak just had a really good season, and people are like, oh, he's the best player in the league. I ain't saying him, but when I looked at Kobe was the best player in the league until he wasn't. And once you're not, then you're not. And to me, LeBron was until he wasn't.
Okay.
And now he's not.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I just want to see more because especially if Kawhi had done it year after year after year, he just missed the whole season prior to this year. So I got to see more. That's all I'm saying. It's just easy to figure.
That's fair.
Like for somebody who wasn't considered the best player in the league before he was out an entire season and then come back and have one great year, I got to see more. That's all I'm saying.
I don't think he just had one great year. I think that year with the Spurs before he got hurt was another great year.
It was, but what I'm saying is he still wasn't the best player in the league then.
No, I don't know. People were starting to whisper.
Okay, but that's what I'm saying. Like we've had that conversation. We ain't talking about Kevin Durant. Now you acting like Kobe.
My point is this though.
But
LeBron hasn't been the best player in the league in my book for a few years. Okay. So it's not just that LeBron.
So are you saying he's number 3?
Has been the reigning champ for the last 9 years, and Kawhi just snatched it from him. That's not my assessment. As I've been looking at it year to year to year to year to year, LeBron lost it before, and he didn't earn it last year. Kawhi earned it.
Yeah, Kawhi was the best player in the league last year. What I'm saying is I just need to see more. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. That's fair. And then going by your logic, I'm changing my answer. Specifically for this reason. If we do have to go with the best player of the year, even if we went through a top 5, Anthony Davis is consistently in that top 5, and LeBron is consistently in that top 5. We can't specifically say that Kawhi and Paul George are both consistently in that top 5.
Right, is what I'm saying. That's all I'm getting.
And that's
at.
fair.
Paul George is not a top 5 player in the league.
And so, as a result, I think that my follow-up question I was going to ask you guys earlier is if you had $20 right now, who would you put your money on?
Which team? Which franchise?
Which franchise to win the whole title, to do everything? And yes, right now I think that the Lakers duo is better. I
would on the Lakers because I think their team is better.
Oh, I would go opposite. I think the Lakers duo is better, but I think the Clippers team is better.
Yeah, I think the Clippers team is better.
My money's on the Clippers right now too.
But
maybe I'm a Laker fan with rosy-colored glasses.
I don't think the Lakers are bad.
Hold up, when I look from 1 to like the whole rotation, like you know what I mean, and the versatility to even flip out that rotation, the depth, like to go 12. Like I think that they haven't put, I think real quickly, I think they put the shooters. I think they did a really good job assembling the right team around a LeBron and AD. That's to me, you got them running a pick and roll from the top of the court, and you're just gonna have shooters around that action.
Yeah,
like that's tough to stop.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't think the Lakers are bad. I think it's really close. I'll put it this way: close. I think it's just more unknowns about the Lakers at this point.
I hear that.
So, and that's what, and it kind of goes along with what I just said about the duos. We have to assume that LeBron is healthy and can return to that form, and we have to assume that those shooters are going to hit those shots. That DeMarcus Cousins is healthy. That JaVale McGee can continue. So it's just more unknowns about the Lakers. Now, if everything goes right, they're the best team in the league easily.
The thing that I worry about with the Clippers is what I was talking about, and the fact that they're similar players.
Right.
From my experience, building teams with stars that are similar takes longer to gel.
Right. That's the Atlanta Hawks, if you want to be technical. The Hawks were real good for picking people 6'6" to 6'9". With a 7-foot wingspan.
Right.
They were athletic.
Yeah. They had small forwards for days.
Right. The hookup on the small forward, shooting guard, small forward. The hookup on those.
Even if you look at when LeBron went to Miami, him and Dwayne Wade's games were very similar at that point. And it took them a while to adjust. So, you're absolutely right.
It took a while for them to
word on the street, LeBron going to be the starting point guard for the Lakers.
Right.
Yeah, I heard. But I'll check this out. Like, I don't – so here's what I'm thinking, because – You're talking about outside of some people that got traded. For the most part, you're talking about a Clippers team that already this Clippers team because I didn't think at the beginning of the season last year that their roster was very talented, but they still ended up in the playoffs and giving the champs a pretty competitive series. But I think when you take the likes of a Patrick Beverley, of a Montrezl Harrell, of Mo Harkless, they still have Rodney Magruder. They got Landry Shamet, who can really light it up, and they still got the sixth man of the year, Lou Williams. Man, I just
money. My response would be some people a year ago would have said that about Boston.
That's before you add Paul George and Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah. That's fair. The Boston comment was fair.
And my only concern with that money is we've seen it time after time is you don't just plug guys in to something that already exists and expect that it's just going to fit seamlessly. So
most of those guys were already there. That's what I'm saying.
No, what I'm saying is,
now you're bringing in
but your two best players weren't.
And Paul George,
right?
Correct.
So now Lou Williams, do we really need you to be Lou Williams in the fourth quarter anymore?
Yeah.
Not
really. Absolutely. Because Patrick Beverley wasn't getting time in the fourth quarter. Lou Williams was in the game.
Yeah, but
you need Sweet Lou to be Sweet Lou.
You do, but again, how does Sweet Lou's role change when you got to get Kawhi the ball in the fourth quarter?
Right,
you got to
get
get
the
PG
third
the ball
option
in the
now
fourth.
in this.
Right, and so it's not like it's easy. It's easy.
Unselfish enough to. He showed that he was unselfish enough to know when to yield and let other guys take shots. Like he showed that in all playoffs.
No, I'm not saying
Paul George did the same.
It's not a matter of just him being unselfish, though. It's a matter of roles and selfishness are two different things.
Let's be honest. That's a Doc Rivers coach team.
And that's what I was going to say. I think Doc Rivers is a good enough coach to figure that out. But on the court, now I say the coaching's overrated when the game's going on a lot of times. So in the midst of that, how does Lou feel like he has to defer to Paul George? Paul George came in into OKC and became OKC's go-to player.
Yeah, but I don't think that if Lou is a specific kind of streaky shooter, like when Lou gets hot, you give Lou the ball. He's a lot like Klay Thompson in that sense. When Klay gets hot, you give Klay the ball. You watch the Warriors do it. Klay scored 37 and a quarter for a reason. Klay hit 13 or 14 threes in that game because everybody just kept feeding him. He was hot.
Yeah, but Lou
is one of those.
No, Lou ain't Klay.
No, Lou did Klay in the playoffs, though.
No, Lou
he
ain't
did
Klay.
him dirty, in fact. Lou was hitting shots that were only made in video games.
Lou can do it, like Klay can do it over the course of a season. Lou can do it in spots now at this age. Lou can't do that like night in and night out anymore. He because he doesn't need to. At this point.
He doesn't need to. Yeah, he doesn't need to.
But what I'm not saying unselfishness has nothing to do with what role you play, is what I'm saying. So it's just a question. I don't know. They're gonna have to adjust their roles.
It's gonna be interesting because Lou will play about 25 to 28 minutes. He's a sixth man, but he plays a lot of minutes.
He does.
And, so
yeah. So I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. Yeah. But I do think they have fewer questions at this point than the Lakers do, just because the Lakers have retooled their entire roster. And the benefit of the Lakers having LeBron there already for a year is there's some kind of establishment there amongst the duos. And the question for me with the Lakers, are they going to get the DeMarcus Cousins that the Warriors thought they were getting 2 years after the injury?
Like the real question is 2 years after the injury, what happens when it's actually healed?
Right.
Yeah.
And you get an off season. You get an off season to work out with it healed.
Right. Because the real answer
be in shape. Right.
Then the real answer becomes that the most dynamic duo goes right back to being AD and DeMarcus Cousins.
But see, I think
before Boogie hurt his Achilles, they were the most feared duo in the league.
They were rocking.
They were. They still weren't winning shit. But
yeah, they were. Like, that was a sixth-place team on the rise that had figured out how to work together. They were a problem.
Yeah, a problem.
No, they were. But I mean, it's like I don't know. It's just funny to me to hear you say like they were a sixth-place team, but they were a fucking like they still.
They were a sixth-place team with two big men. And there was sixth-place teams in the West with two ball-dominant players who had just figured out how to play with each other, and that's how they got to sixth place. Like, they were on the rise. They weren't on the fall. They weren't on the decline.
I know, but still, you are what you are.
And then Boogie got shot in his ankle.
He did, but
I'm hoping they bring that chemistry to the Lakers,
right?
So we can get the best out of Boogie. Yeah. But I think with the Clippers, while they have less questions than the Lakers, they have the most significant question. And to me, like that cohesion and the length of time it takes that team to play together and get the roles right, I think is more important than any question on the Lakers, because the Lakers have a lot of unanswered questions in terms of players. They have the more simplest answers, which is, you know what? It's real easy to establish roles, especially with LeBron handling the rock. Right. Now we running pick and rolls. Now the question is, can we get people who can shoot and defend? And whichever, we got like 5, 6, 7 players like that. With the 2, 3, 4 y'all that bring it, y'all the ones that's going to be playing. So I think it's like it's a lot of questions, but it's simple questions.
They're not simple questions. First of all, if LeBron runs point guard and you bring back Rondo, what's Rondo going to do? Because he's highly inefficient if he can't have the ball in his hand.
Yeah, he's coming off the bench, and two, like you can play LeBron. The benefit of that is LeBron, if he's playing with Rondo, LeBron doesn't have to guard point guards. So there is some kind of benefit in that.
True.
Like,
he gets to keep his legs.
You can hide Rondo if he can't shoot. You know what I'm saying? Because he's not going to be a starter. He's not playing starters minutes. You're not depending on him to be a scorer off the ball. I think the Lakers have more upside. The Clippers have, but the thing that gets me with like the Clippers is we've seen this in every sport is teams that you don't expect to be that good have one really good year because a lot of things go right. And then those same
Toronto
players,
Raptors.
Right. And it's like everybody has a career year. And it can't be duplicated year after year. It's kind of like when Denver went to the playoffs with Tebow. You can't do that. It's not sustainable. That's my only thing my only concern with the Clippers is those players they have that they all had career years. Can they sustain?
Can they do that again?
Right.
Where the Lakers have a bunch of role players: Danny Green, Dudley from the Nets, Caldwell.
I don't know why would you say that? When's the last time the Clippers even missed the playoffs? They just retool and do it again.
Yeah, before Blake Griffin.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they just retool and do it again.
Well, no, but that's what I'm saying is with this core of players, they've only done it once, is what I'm saying. But like individually, all those players had never been that good before. They were just that good last year together. Like Patrick Beverley's been good, but he had the best year of his career last year. Montrezl Harrell, same thing. Like, can they do it again? Landry Shamet he's young. You don't know if he can continue. Like, I'm just saying it's a question. It's just a question that we don't know.
I think he's going to play. Lou Williams been nice. They had a rookie point guard, so they had Gallinari. So some questions are gonna be answered for the fact that those guys aren't here anymore.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the guys that are there. I'm asking them. I ain't saying they aren't. It's just a legitimate question: is can they do it again?
Absolutely. They got better.
I'll put it. It's kind of rhetorical in that sense. In the sense that I ain't ask you to answer it. What I'm saying is nobody knows.
I know.
So what I'm saying is that's a legitimate question that we'll find out. But if we're pontificating about who has which questions on each team, that's a question that we have to ask for the Clippers. We don't have an answer yet. We don't have an answer for any of these questions. But
I do have one answer to Money's question of when's the last time the Clippers did
year
not
before
make
last?
the playoff, and that was 2018.
Right. I was gonna say that, but I ain't want to.
2 years ago.
I'm tired of crushing. I'm tired of crushing Money's narratives.
I've been trying to get in there to answer that for a few seconds.
You good? You good?
Don't worry, Money. The two narcissists had to gang up on you.
That's all good. It's all good.
Now tell me
That's
how good
all
I am.
It's all
Oh,
good.
So we got.
yeah. Oh man.
I couldn't remember. It's all good.
But all that to say, damn good question, Jared. We totally answered your question and then some. So I hope you're satisfied.
We laugh.
Right. But yeah, I mean, regardless, what all we just said is damn close between those two duos.
LA wins right now.
Right. Tamara from Charleston, South Carolina. It's a really good question. Jay, I'll start with you. What is the best invention in history, and what is the worst?
Simple. The smartphone.
Wow. Okay.
For both.
Right. Okay. All right.
The fact that we're able to get in contact with somebody on the other side of the world in seconds. The fact that we're able to record something while it's happening and stream it live so people can watch it. Like my mother and I were joking about it earlier, and I was like, dude, what happens if you take a smartphone to any point in history? You got a smartphone, and somehow you have magical access to Wi-Fi. You've now changed. You will change history right then from that point forward.
Yeah.
Now, it's also the worst. Because now people don't interact. The smartphone gave you access to social media with your thumbs. And the moment it did that, well, now you don't have to pay attention to actual reality anymore because you can look through this virtual world and find out everything that's going on in the world and interact with that and have a voice, and your voice be positive or negative, and be a narcissist because you need the likes. You know what I'm saying? You need the likes, though. The likes are an important part. Doesn't matter what you say as long as somebody likes it.
Right.
So the access to information, the access to communicate with somebody, even if you get the information and you don't like it, you can immediately get in contact with that person and let them know. No matter where they are. The fact that they can show me where I'm going, down to the lady saying left on university.
Right.
Like down to her. A smartphone is the greatest thing I have ever seen, and it's also becoming the worst.
Got it. Money, what say you?
I actually like West Coast's point. But I mean, I would ask, is because that, like, is that the smartphone? That's like, or like, because that the technology to do all that, it's the, like, is it the technology or is it the smartphone? Because all the smartphone does is take all that technology and consolidate it into one place.
And that's why I think it's the smartphone. Like, it's the most powerful computer in the house most of the time.
Understood. Okay. So because so you're saying it's the convenience of being able to do all of that with one device,
and also the laziness of having it delivered with your thumbs.
Okay. Yeah, it's that like that stuff's changing the world. Was up to like 42% of the people don't even go in the stores anymore. They just order that stuff from
with your thumbs, though. That's my favorite part.
I'm
your
one
thumbs.
of those 42%.
I am fully aware. Me and DoorDash know each other.
Right.
I can walk to McDonald's and they'll deliver it to me on Uber Eats. So why walk?
Exactly. People are like, why go to the store? Because I can just get Amazon to deliver it the next day.
That's all I'm saying. I could go to Barnes & Noble's right now and get the 25th Demon.
Right.
In paperback for $19.95.
Right.
Or I could push these buttons with my thumbs and get a Kindle version for $9.99. Never leave my couch, never put on a pair of pants.
Yeah. And read
have the entire book
device.
at my fingertips, using my thumbs to flip pages.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Wow.
Pooh, what do you think? Best invention and worst invention?
I'm gonna go with the worst first. And like I say, I'm totally on accordance with the with West Coast with the smartphone, but I'm gonna jump out there and say the Snuggie. Worst. That's gotta be the worst, man. That's gotta be the worst. Like, just when I first saw the commercial, I was like, dude, the
It's
Snuggie though,
man.
Man, it is, but it's just whack. It's just
How many
straight
times
up.
you got to
like
come out
being
from under
warm.
your blankets, man, and find
That's all
the
I'm
remote?
saying. Yo,
Man.
like being warm, Pooh?
It's just whack. Man, like the first time I actually saw like I seen an individual with one, I was like, yo, you bought that? So but it's crazy. Like, it put me on the same level as the prayer clause, Jay. So it was like real Mike prayer clause. But it's I gotta go with the Snuggie. And the best invention, again, I do like West Coasters, but I have this it was invented 1889 by J.A. McWilliam in Britain. It's the cardiac pacemaker.
Okay.
So I'll go with that. Anything that regulate the heart and keep lives going.
Gotcha.
I'm gonna go with that.
Okay. Good one. Al, what say you?
First of all, I didn't know we had to be citing when
Right.
this shit was invented.
I just felt like
research.
loud,
I'm
man.
talking about.
Like,
Yosh
damn.
would be proud of you.
Okay, I'm like, well, okay.
Right.
Now I'm over here Googling. I got to figure out when mine was invented and who
Man,
invented it.
get out of here, Al.
So,
Right.
so I was gonna go with something like technology or social media. I thought that was kind of really a great answer, but I had to go a little deeper because I didn't want to come with everybody else. So mine was invented by Justus von Liebig, and it was invented about 200 years ago, and it is the mirror.
Oh wow. Okay.
Oh, wow.
I think if it wasn't for a mirror, I would think I was 25, in decent shape, had all my hair,
Right.
and like that fucking mirror is some honest shit. And it reminds you real talk this is reality.
Right.
If you got the guts to look at it.
And nobody talk to you like your reflection. That's a fact.
Right.
You got the guts to look at the mirror. It's the fucking best invention. And it's Justus von
Narcissist
Liebig.
number one.
That's who invented the mirror.
Yeah. These selfies ain't got nothing on the mirror.
Right.
Nah, that mirror is
Narcissist one.
Ain't no
It's real,
narcissist one in that mirror. Right?
Narcissist one in the mirror on the one
Strikes
two.
again.
All
Narcissist one strikes again.
I got them all around the house, in the car, all that shit.
We know.
Tell me how pretty I am.
Where was
Hand
he
me my
from?
mirror, Jerome.
What was he from, Al?
Germany.
Germany. Okay.
Hand me my mirror, Jerome.
Jump
wow.
love. So my worst invention. So the worst invention to me, and I'm not a violent dude, but one person that I probably would fuck up and smack around in the supermarket is people who do robocalls. And whoever invented the technology that allows 1,900 people a week to call me on my fucking phone about something or another. That to me is the fucking worst invention ever. I hate robocalls.
And what are they calling you on? Your smartphone.
Yep. On my smartphone.
Dun, dun,
As
dun.
I'm interrupting me looking in the mirror.
Right.
All they gotta do is tell you something nice, and you will be alright.
Right.
Feed the pathology,
Right.
robocallers. Feed the pathology.
Wow. Yeah, man. I'm going with something that just for me personally that has played a huge impact in my life. But shit, I gotta go. Hip hop is the best invention ever. I'm surprised.
Is
First
it
of all,
invention, or is it just a different name for the same thing?
it's at some point somebody had to invent hip hop. Whether regardless at what point you think it started, somebody had to start it.
Right. Whether it was our version or somebody else's version.
Right. But whatever point you think it started, or anybody thinks it started, somebody had to start it. It's the best damn thing that I've ever, like me personally, it gives me a better feeling than social media, my smartphone, a mirror, all that stuff. Hip hop to me.
Better than a mirror, though?
Yeah, better
than a mirror?
Hip hop has been my mirror in certain instances.
Real talk.
You know you can't listen to hip hop without a smartphone right now.
Yes, you can.
Oh, okay.
Because it's in my head too,
And it's on my computer.
and it's everywhere. So, first of all, I'm surprised none of y'all said Defy Life, but I'll let y'all get by with that.
Says the narcissist.
Right. Worst invention ever. Oh, I gotta say guns.
Wow.
What?
Yeah.
What was you gonna do if a bear ran up on you?
I don't go in the fucking forest like that. I don't know.
Great, but the people who invented guns was in frontiers. They was it was animals trying to eat them.
That's okay. Survival of the fittest. Bears don't have guns.
True that.
No, bears just run 40 miles an hour and they weigh as much as a Dodge, but that's okay.
But people, by the time guns came along, there were also, what else they had? Houses. Stay in that motherfucker if you think it's gonna be bears outside. Right? I'm just
You going
saying.
outside today? Nah,
Right.
forecasting bears.
Right.
Forecasting bears. I'm gonna
I'm using my smartphone
and I'm
using
saying,
my smartphone to Google this because I don't know that I agree with your question.
and I'm saying guns because if we never had them, we'd never know what was missing.
So are we talking gunpowder or guns? Because you got to go back to the Chinese for that.
I don't care who invented it. I'm saying this is like I don't know. This ain't a history lesson. I'm just saying guns. Whoever invented it, I don't know. Whenever they were, I'm just saying guns. If they were never invented, we would never know what we were missing.
Yeah, gunpowder was an invention by the Chinese, and it actually was around long before guns.
Damn, think of all the hip hop you would have missed if there was no guns to
If
talk
there was
about.
no guns,
But I wouldn't know I was miss. I wouldn't be missing it. It
Nice,
was never
Al.
be there.
Oh, you definitely would be missing it. You would definitely be missing it.
No, I
yeah,
wouldn't.
Narcissist won like you couldn't. Them
No.
rings and things you sing about, bring them out. It's hard
How-
to yell when the
how could I-
barrel's in
how
your
could I
mouth.
how could I miss something that was never invented?
Armed and dangerous. He wouldn't even be able to say that. He would just
That's
be
what I'm
like,
saying. Like those was
You can-
Biggie
roses
lyrics.
in the
Like
sky is
what
blue.
a
Like,
notorious
what?
pig.
No, he
If
didn't say
no
he
guns.
didn't say firearms and dangerous. He said
He
armed
said-
and dangerous.
It's hard to yell when the barrel's in your mouth. That's a gun barrel.
Okay, Jay-Z's not in my top 10 anyway.
That's not
And you
Jay-Z.
wanna
That's
be-
a Biggie Smalls lyric.
Okay, that's one that I obviously don't know about, so I don't miss it.
oh, here we go. Here
What
we
I'm saying-
go.
What I'm,
Ignorance just become bliss.
what I'm saying is,
It's
I think-
ignorance bliss.
no, what I'm saying is, what you don't like. That's one of the most common cliche. You can't miss what you never had. If it was never invented, I wouldn't miss it.
And they wouldn't have told you that in the hip hop song.
Okay, then I wouldn't miss it. That's like, I wouldn't have known, like 20 years ago, I didn't know mumble rap existed because it didn't exist.
Unless you ask about people who talk about Mystical.
Mystical wasn't a mumble rapper.
No, he wasn't. But there's people that claim he was.
No.
What? Who are these people?
No.
I'm like, who the
No way.
who you mean?
I've had some pretty ignorant conversations.
I wouldn't even talk to them people no more.
Let me guess. There's some same people that thought Kawhi was the best player in the NBA.
See,
Wow.
hate.
There we go.
J.O. won the second half of the show.
He mad that somebody else was Narcissist 1.
Is that what it is?
Right. I'm trying to earn my
Taking it
title,
out on
son.
me.
Yeah, I'm right. Fucking Al, it is Narcissist number 1. Oh, man.
My license plate. Yeah, there's my vanity plate.
That's what I'm saying, man. I'm trying to...
Yo, that'd be dope.
I'm coming to your house and I'm breaking all your... I'm coming to your house and I'm breaking all your fucking mirrors, Al.
I'll be
Torture.
dying.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yo, that'd be great.
That was pure hate. Did you hear the hate?
All right.
I heard it.
Oh,
I heard.
Man. Well, yeah, man. I'm going guns. Shoot me if you don't like it.
See, that's the problem.
You know, the Iron Age came way before that. I prefer a bladed weapon, personally.
Okay, that's fine. And it would be armed and dangerous with a sword.
They say Psychopaths was born that way, right?
Right. So I'll do it.
Like,
Y'all ready for the trivia?
I wonder if it was serial swordsmen. Like, they just...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, man. They were called samurai.
Yeah.
Nah, I mean, like, you know, you have serial killers and they be, like, killing a bunch of... I wonder if it was, like, a dude with a sword and he just, like...
Jack
there are those now.
For then.
It's a thing. People get stabbed.
Alive. I'm talking about...
stabbed since the original knife.
But as a serial thing, like, yeah, I'm going to go stab these 12 chicks.
I'm gonna stab this one. But it felt good. So now I'm gonna stab this other one.
Yeah, I would venture to think that if we have serial killers like with knives now, who have the option of other shit that's more efficient, there had to be serial killers when there were only knives.
True.
That's people like caveman serial killers with rocks and shit.
But I'm saying there were Vikings. The Vikings got something known as battle joy. They loved just killing people.
Right.
Didn't matter who it was.
That's in a battle, though.
But either way it goes, that's a dude with a knife.
Right. And battle joy. The reason they called it battle joy is because it bled outside of the lines of battle. Like they would take that feeling of killing people in their regular lives and just kill people because they got joy out of it. That's what battle joy comes from.
Yep, because they enjoyed seeing the blood.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah. It's kind of along the same lines of like how they say football players live violent lives, a lot of them, and they can't turn it off. Same thing.
True.
I think he was talking to you, Ray Rice.
Tyreek Hill, allegedly.
Allegedly, according to Tyreek, he ain't do none of that. We got Ray on tape. We know what happened.
Yeah, right.
He ain't do none of that. You tried to frame me.
Oh, man. Yeah. All right. Y'all ready for some trivia?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, again, thank you, Jared. Thank you, Tamara, or Tamara, however you pronounce it. Again, if y'all want to have a question answered, or if you just disagree with something we say, want to address something on the show, hit us up. You can email us at info@goldefylife.com or hit us up on social media at goldefylife. So, on the trivia, I'm trying to remember the last time we had 4 people here for trivia. This is going to be a battle royale.
No, what this is a warm-up. Lynn and Kim was talking any kind of way to you, Al. Yeah. I just feel like I should share that.
They were. Yeah.
Did they get real reckless?
They got reckless.
Listen to them. Anything, everything, and nothing was said about you.
Yeah. They did. They took shots at me. That's why I'm bringing it up. They took shots at me personally.
I appreciate you throwing them under the bus like that.
And And they was looking forward to it because they both called me like, "Hey, can we go ahead and talk shit about the trivia since we won on our show?" I was like,
they brought that up.
Yeah.
In the first 8 minutes.
Yeah. So they was
wow.
they are reveling in their victory. So yeah. But I got good news for y'all though.
What's that?
Tonight marks the return of 3 Men in the Squad. Yes, it does. You're welcome.
3 Men in the Squad be fun.
3 Men in the Squad. What?
Yes. So 4 categories.
Tennis.
Point totals of 1 through 5. The 4 categories are 3 Men in the Squad post NBA free agency edition.
Oh boy.
See what I did. Second category, Puerto Rican baseball legends. Shout out to my wife. Next category, you Bigfoot athletes with big feet. Last category, hey Miss Parker, black sex symbols over 50.
Man, I knew I should have hosted trivia.
It's gonna be fun, son. All right,
let's get it.
So, I done won so many times in a row. I don't know when the last time I won. Hey man, let me be narcissistic when I need to be, please.
Hey, Narcissist, start with Narcissist 1.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I think Al won last. West Coast J time before that. Money, and then Pooh. That work?
All right, I would like to switch my spot with Pooh's spot because I need to practice.
Oh shit. Okay. So Al, Pooh, Money, and Jay.
Lynn and Kim, that was for you.
They said you need to practice.
Did you? No,
practice?
they didn't. They just said they had no idea what the word fear meant.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Damn. I ain't scared of you, mama.
Damn. For real.
They said they was bone crusher. They ain't never scared. That's what they said to me.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, Al, where we going?
Yes, sir.
Doing, 3 Men in the Squad.
Let's try Hey Miss Parker for 3.
Hey Miss Parker for 3. All right. At 52, this Academy Award winner is still considered one of the sexiest women alive.
Holly Berry.
Holly Berry is correct.
Hey, Miss Parker.
Miss
3
Parker.
points for Al.
Miss Parker.
All right. Pooh, where we going?
Let me get Battle Joy for 5. Now let me get the
I was like, fuck Pooh talking about?
At any given point.
let me get the sex symbols for the 5.
Sex symbols for 5. Age 63 and still stunning. She has been active as a supermodel since 1976. She was born in Somalia.
What's that lady name?
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
Naomi Campbell.
2. Naomi Campbell is incorrect. The correct answer is Iman.
Iman.
All right. All right. Money, where we going?
3 Men in the Squad for 30.
3 Men in the Squad for 30. The 3 names are, and you can get double points in these if you give me the school that each player went to. The 3 names are John Henson, Deng Adele, Jaron Blasingame.
Oh, shit. Repeat the 3 names.
John Henson, Deng Adele, and Jaron Blasingame.
John Henson from North Carolina?
8.
Are you
7.
saying Hanson or Henson?
Henson. John Henson created the Muppets. 10, 9,
Oh,
8.
John Henson played for
7.
Cleveland Cavaliers.
All right. That is correct. You got the Cleveland Cavaliers.
John Henson went to North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Blossom Game, didn't he go to Clemson? Blossom Game's Clemson. What's the other guy?
Dang Adele.
Oh, shit. Kansas.
Incorrect. He went to Louisville.
Oh.
That was good, though.
Yeah.
Which ones did I get right?
You had to get them all
You got
right.
the other two right, but you didn't get them all right.
But you needed 3.
Right.
He had to get them all to get everything right.
Right.
Okay, button up, money.
But what? Nah, but I got 40 right. Wait, what? I don't even know what I did.
You got 30. Well, you got 3. It's 1 through 5. You went for the 3. You got the team right, but you didn't get their colleges right. So you get 3.
Oh man! So I don't get 50 instead of 60?
Nah.
No, sir. You have to answer all 3 questions right to get the double points.
Judges say.
I was asking.
And
Judges
I'm just
no.
telling you.
Okay. All right.
Jay, where we going?
Let me have the pretty people for whatever the highest is.
Hey, Miss Parker for 4.
Hey, Miss Parker.
This 50-year-old can still set it off. She was a staple in many 90s black movies.
Man.
That's hilarious.
Wow. Are you serious?
I
So
am.
layup. Man, count. You counting?
9,
This is for
8,
40.
7.
I'm thinking
6,
Queen. I'm thinking Jada
5,
Pinkett Smith.
4. That is incorrect.
That's what I thought. Damn it, it's the other motherfucker.
Right.
It's
It
the
is
Kimberly Elise ass.
It's Vivica A. Fox, actually.
Yeah.
See? That's why it wasn't a layup.
Jay, way to lead him straight.
Right.
Way to lead him straight.
That's why it was not a layup. It's too many to choose.
That's that mental warfare.
Oh man.
Get him to go with his first answer.
I'm in training, Lenny Kim.
Oh shit. All right, Al, where we going?
Let me try Hey Miss Parker for 20.
All right. Hey, Miss Parker for 20. Now 60 and sexy. She was known early in her career as Trey's mama.
What I count down that, son?
9, 8, 7,
Trey's
6, 5, 4, 3,
Angela Bassett.
2. That is correct. Angela Bassett.
Mike Trey, what movie is that? What movie is that?
Right. 2 points for Al. All right. Pooh, where we going?
Damn, Al eating. Let me go with 3 men in the squad for the cuatro.
3 men in the squad for 4. The names are Jacob Evans, Eric Pascal, Jordan Poole.
Jordan who?
Poole.
Eric who?
Jacob Evans, Eric Pascal, and Jordan Poole.
Pascal, I know
10,
that name.
9, 8,
Pascal.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
That's the Raptors?
2. That is incorrect. That is the Golden State Warriors.
Pascal.
I thought Jordan Evans was going to tell you, but
Yeah.
Jordan Evans.
Jordan Evans starred in.
I don't have a clue who Jordan Evans is, man.
Jacob Evans.
I really think Pooh went mute just to say fuck Jordan Evans because I didn't really
I don't have a clue. I don't have a clue who that is. Like,
money. Where we going?
let me go 3 men in the squad for the 20.
3 men in the squad for 20. It's a layup for you. It should be Landry Shamet, Montrezl Harrell, and Jerome Robinson.
L.A. Clippers.
The Clippers is correct, sir. 2 points.
All right, now who were
the three players are Landry Shamet, Montrezl Harrell, and Jerome Robinson.
Oh man. For some weird reason, I want to say Landry Shamet went to Temple or some shit, but I don't. Montrezl Harrell, didn't he go to Cincinnati? And I don't have no idea what the other guy went. Let's just call it Miami.
Yeah, you wrong across the board, sir. Landry Shamet.
You had me thinking I was right and shit.
I just wanted to see how ridiculous you was going to get. Landry Shamet went to Wichita State. Montrezl Harrell, again, went to Louisville. And Jerome Robinson went to Boston College.
Oh, okay. I was in the right conference on a couple of them.
Right. Jay, where we going?
I know we didn't go into Miss Parker and 3 men. What were the other categories?
Puerto Rican baseball legends and you Bigfoot mother.
Oh shit! Let me have a Yeti for 20.
You Bigfoot mother is for 20. Recently traded from the Golden State Warriors. This defensive stopper wears a size 17 shoe.
Andre Iguodala.
Big for someone his height. Right. Andre Iguodala is correct.
I'm going to miss you, Iggy. They're retiring your number, and I'm excited about it.
They retiring everybody's number.
They retired everybody's number, right.
All right, look. Andre need it, though.
Al, where we going?
Yeah. Let me try. I'm a Boricua, Puerto Rican player legends. What we got? For 30. Let's see how hard this is.
Puerto Rican baseball legends for 30. This catcher, the third Latino player ever elected to the Hall of Fame, was a 14-time All-Star and a 13-time Gold Glove winner.
Oh, I know this.
10,
That's
9.
Ivan Rodriguez.
Ivan Pudge Rodriguez is correct.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Pudge was a beast.
Yeah.
All right.
I ain't so scared of that category.
Where you going?
Damn, yo, I gotta get on the board. Let me get big ass feet for 50, man.
You Bigfoot mother for 5. This offensive tackle, listed at 6'7", 320 pounds, entered the league as a 7th-round pick of the Chicago Bears in 2010.
Oh shit!
He and his size 20 shoes are now a member of the Indianapolis Colts. Who is this Bigfoot motherfucker?
Man, where's that project
10,
we had for that kid?
9, 8, 7, 6, 5.
Oh shit!
4, 3, 2, 1.
I can't remember that kid's name, man.
The correct answer is Jamarcus Webb.
Webb, man. That kid was so enamored with him. The old coach for the Vikings.
Yeah.
What was his name?
Mike Tice.
Matt Tice. Yeah, he thought that he could do whatever with Webb, man. Fucking bum.
Money, where we going?
Damn, I missed that. Should have known.
Let me get 3 men in the squad for 50.
3 men in the squad for 50. Taurean Prince, Shabazz Napier, Nicholas Claxton.
Oh shit! I just
10,
wrote about Shabazz. What the fuck?
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh shit! It was either Memphis or Minnesota.
Or Brooklyn.
Connecticut, ain't it?
Brooklyn Nets.
He went back to Brooklyn?
Went to Brooklyn.
Shabazz Napier, he was in Brooklyn last year.
Nah, Baz was in Miami.
No, he got traded to Brooklyn.
Yeah.
He's still there.
Then he's still in Brooklyn.
Still there? Are you sure?
He's still on their
Torian
roster.
just went to Brooklyn, so
Right.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
Shabazz
okay.
still on their roster.
Damn, I don't know
Jay,
why I didn't just say
where we
Brooklyn then.
I don't know. It's a good question.
Just because you wasn't feeding the pathology. You were not feeding the pathology.
Probably because you didn't know.
True that.
Sociopath, man. You're a learned behavior guy.
Jay, where you taking me?
Is there anything left in 3 Men in a Squad?
One is left in 3 Men in a Squad.
Yeah.
I'll only get 10.
No, 3 Men in a Squad. The names are Isaiah Hicks, Lance Thomas, and Alonzo Trier.
The Cucamonga Cracker Killers.
That is incorrect, sir.
That's 12B. Yeah.
No.
That was the 10. I want that on the record.
Yeah, that was easy.
That's the other team in New York.
Right, that's the Knicks.
Dude, the Knicks, baby, they signed everybody in the world.
Right.
Okay.
But
money play for the Knicks.
Let me give you a name out of those trio to remember. Alonzo Trier.
That was the giveaway.
Yeah.
I thought everybody would get
that was definitely the giveaway. He was there last year doing his thing.
Yeah.
He was doing that getting buckets last year.
And he averaging like 23 in summer league. Like, dude,
okay to all of you guys, but I'm a Warriors fan, and these was our good years, so I wasn't looking past the West.
No clue that.
True that.
Right. Well,
Jay, what's that score looking like?
As of right now, Al has 8. Money has 2. I'm sorry, Money has 5. Jay has 2. And Pooh is yet to get on the board.
Damn, y'all can mark this.
Pooh
This
is
devil.
Don't let him talk to you like that, Pooh. It's cool.
Yeah.
Jay a narcissist.
Was I a little too harsh? I'm sorry. Pooh has 0.
This never happens to me.
Jay's a narcissist. Just you gotta feed his pathology.
Feed the pathology, Pooh. Get a question right.
So,
Al, where we going?
Narcissist 1.
Narcissist 1 wants to go back to the Puerto Rican baseball players for 40.
40. Let's go. Puerto Rican baseball legends.
Getting confident.
This sure-fielding second baseman was enshrined into the Hall of Fame in 2011. He is the son and brother of former All-Star players of the same name. 10.
The only player that's spitting umpire's mouth and got away with it. Roberto Alomar.
Alomar. Correct. 4 more for Al. Al running away with this thing. Pooh,
shout out to Sandy.
Working y'all.
Al got the cheat code for baseball, man.
I'm not worried about it. Y'all gotta hear how Lynn and Kim talk about him.
Oh no, yeah. That's funny. I gotta listen to that on my way to work tomorrow.
Wow. All right, Pooh, let's get on the board.
What's left, man?
You got 1, 2, and 5 in Puerto Rican baseball. You got 1, 3, and 4 in Bigfoot motherfuckers. And
big ass feet for 2, man. I gotta forget it.
You got 1, 3, and 4.
Oh, 1, 3, and 4. Let me get big ass feet for the 4, man.
You Bigfoot motherfucker for 4. This Hall of Famer last played in the NBA in 1984, averaging 20.1 points and 10.1 rebounds per game over his 15-year career, primarily with the Detroit Pistons. He wore a size 22 shoe. Who is this Bigfoot motherfucker?
Man, he did that with the Detroit Pistons. That threw me off.
9.
Damn, I wanted to say Moses Malone. You said Detroit
7,
Pistons. What the fuck?
6.
I was
5,
with you, Pooh. I was saying
4,
Moses.
Yeah,
3,
who played with the Detroit Pistons
2,
though?
1.
Bill Embiid. I don't fucking know.
Incorrect. Bob Lanier. It rhymes.
Bob Lanier.
Oh.
Yeah.
That was a tough one, Jay.
That was a Bigfoot motherfucker.
That was a tough one, Jay. That was the 5 there.
No, Jamarcus Russell was Jamarcus Russell was tougher than Bill. At least Bob Lanier's a Hall of Famer.
But I should have known.
You talking about from last week?
Russell, though. I should have known Jamarcus Webb.
Oh, I was gonna say. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Jamarcus Russell has not been brought up in this conversation.
I didn't mean to say that. Y'all chill out, man. Y'all.
Yeah. Like, oh, Like,
Oh, man.
That's never happened.
Look, that's what I was talking about from last week.
Bruh. Like I was over here like Jamarcus Russell. No,
Me
I
too.
hate him. I would remember that. No.
There y'all go, man. All right.
All right. Money. So get back in this thing. Where we going?
Money's done.
Let me go Puerto Rican for the. Wait, what?
He said money's done.
Money's done.
You about to be fishing with me, B. Yeah.
Puerto Rican baseball for the 2.
Puerto Rican baseball legends for 2. This man is a legend simply because he will be paid nearly $1.2 million by the New York Mets every July 1st until the year 2035 for a deal that he signed in 1995.
Wow.
This is Puerto Rican baseball.
Wow.
This Puerto Rican baseball player's a gangster.
Right. 10, 9, 8.
I ain't even going front. I don't know.
Yeah, bro, you don't know.
Dang.
Everybody knows.
Hold on. My time not up. I'm going to still guess.
5,
Man, say it, man.
4, 3,
Pick up Carlos.
1. I thought you was going to guess. Nope.
I couldn't think of nobody.
Everybody knows that July 1st is Bobby Bonilla Day. Everybody knows. Bobby Bonilla. The Mets were so interested in backloading contracts that he convinced them to pay him $1.1999999 million over the next 40 years.
That's crazy.
That's the most brilliant contract I've ever heard.
Right.
That's
The only contract like that I've ever heard.
Yes, right.
Oh, so Al, you knew right off the muscle.
I knew that right off the muscle.
So they banking.
Former Pittsburgh Pirate, played with Barry Bonds.
He
came
did
over
play
to
with
the
Barry.
Mets.
Bonds and Bonilla was a thing.
They was a
They
good
banking.
Right.
They banking that he kicked the bucket though.
Right. But
That's what they're banking for real.
But he also had it built into his contract that if he dies, his family still gets the money. So
they're not banking on that. They're not banking on that.
Bobby Bonilla might secretly be the most impressive Puerto Rican ever.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
man.
like that.
Hey, they really wanted that. They wanted that kid bad.
Right. No,
Every year on
money
July
back.
1st.
Bobby Bonilla hadn't swung a bat in 15 years.
Yeah. Right.
Still making money.
He getting paid.
Right. Every year like clockwork.
That guy's
Jay,
brilliant.
Where we going?
Is there anything left anywhere I like to go places?
I'll just tell you everything. We got 1 and 5 in Puerto Rican baseball. We have 1 and 3 in Bigfoot motherfuckers, and we have 1 in Haymans Park.
Give me the 5 in Puerto Rican baseball.
5. Baseball been very good to me. 5 for Puerto Rican baseball. He is one of 5 switch hitters in Major League Baseball history to surpass 400 home runs. He was Rookie of the Year, a 9-time All-Star, a 3-time Gold Glove winner, and the founder of a baseball academy in Puerto Rico in his name.
Señor Clemente. Roberto Clemente, Holmes.
That is incorrect.
Nah, man, he wasn't switch hitter, man.
You should have went with a Carlos. It's Carlos Beltran.
Carlos Beltran.
Yes.
Carlos Beltran.
Carlos Beltran. All right.
Okay.
All right, Al's back on you. You can put this thing completely out of reach.
I'll just stay with Puerto Rican baseball. Let me wipe out that one. Give me the 10 for that.
Puerto Rican baseball for the 1. He was the first Latino to reach 3,000 hits, the first Latino World Series MVP, and the first Latino to enter the Hall of Fame. On December 31st, 1972, he boarded a small plane en route from Puerto Rico to Nicaragua to assist with earthquake relief and was killed in the plane crash.
That would be the Honorable Roberto Clemente.
The patron saint of Latino baseball players, Roberto Clemente. Yes, sir.
Rest in
Dang
peace.
it. Dang it.
Yeah. Pooh. Come on, man. At least let's get on the board, man.
And I hate baseball, man.
They all go.
Good, you ain't got no boy left.
Right.
Hate baseball. What's the highest thing left?
3 in Bigfoot.
Man, give me that shit, man.
So hopeful.
Right. Hey, don't nobody cuss like Pooh when he losing, man. Oh, man. Pooh don't cuss the whole show. And then he started losing. This nigga cuss everybody out. All right. You Bigfoot motherfucker for 3. These Twin Towers, who now play for the same NBA team, both wear a size 20 shoe.
Oh, okay. The Lopez brothers.
The Lopez brothers is correct. Robert and Brooke.
I'm back, baby. Let's go, Al.
Guess who's
Who jumps out of last place?
Lord. Guess who's on and beating me. I'm in last place now.
All right. Money, you want 1 point for Bigfoot or 1 point for Miss Parker?
Man. 1 point for. Let me go 1 point for Bigfoot, man.
You Bigfoot For 1, amongst the best centers to ever play in the NBA, this Bigfoot motherfucker also wears a size 23 shoe.
That's infuriating.
Shaquille O'Neal.
Shaquille O'Neal is absolutely correct.
Wow.
1 more for Money.
That's the third gimme Money had.
Miss Parker. What? Miss Parker.
Yeah, the 3 gimmies.
Miss Parker for 1 to round out the game. Also known as the original Foxy Brown, now 7 years old. She is the poster child of older black sex symbols. Another fact, she was born in Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Oh, wow. Didn't know that.
I didn't either. I know she went to high school in Denver.
Oh, yeah?
I was waiting for the countdown. I was trying to be dramatic and stuff, but Jay ain't even acting like he gonna do it.
Hey, I mean, 6.
Pam Grier.
Pam Grier is correct. 1 point for Jay to tie Pooh up at the end.
Don't matter. I'm only in this for training. Like, you losing training. This is what Lynn and Kim don't understand.
You gotta
I have to spar with people better than me in order to win.
Right. Oh man, well that was fun. Yeah, they get some training in. So Pooh.
Wait, Al, you lost?
No, Al won.
No, I'm talking about in the training in the battlegrounds.
You lost last year too.
You ain't listen. Yeah.
Yeah, I did, but I seem to. You was on the show with Lynn and Kim.
Right.
Yeah.
You let them beat you?
No,
I mean, let me.
Last.
Well,
True that.
I was trying.
Shit different when the bullets start flying. All right.
I was trying.
All right. But yeah, so everybody check out the final preliminary round of the Defy Life Trivia Battleground coming up this week. This week we got Money. You gonna be on this week?
Yeah.
We got Paul from Memoirs of a Lucky Guy.
Real is back.
Who else? Pooh might show up. Pooh, you showing up? Or is the bully gonna show up for Speak the Truth?
He contacted me, so he said he should be off. So I'll probably know about 5. Okay. If I get off the fantasy show in time, I'll be on. But I'm gonna hurry up and get Money off. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. See if you can make it. That's why I put you and Money on the same show. Yeah. So be y'all 3 and I'm missing 2 people.
Yosh Staley.
Yosh and
Josh.
Josh. All right. Yosh will be on for relationship status, and Josh for the coach's corner, where we are. So
We like that name.
For Staley in English. So yeah. So of course everybody's already aware that Brad J. Brown and Lennon Kim are moved on to the championship to face off against West Coast J, the defending champ. So, all right. So, Pooh, Money, good luck to you both. I'll be talking to y'all tomorrow about this. But, Al, you won tonight's trivia.
Okay.
What you got for me for your closing shot, for your parting shot, sir?
So my parting shot, so I was going to use my parting shot to say that when I'm sitting courtside at the Atlanta Dream, LA Sparks game, stay tuned for my pictures with my Lennon Kim t-shirt on.
Wow.
But I'm going to save talking about that till next week. I'm still going to rock the shirt, but I'm going to save what I got to say about it. I got to listen to the show first, see how much shit they was talking about before I say what I'm going to say first. So instead, I'm going to shout out some other females, and I want to shout out Coco Gauff, that tennis player, that 15-year-old in Wimbledon, who won 3 matches. Shout out to that young lady, tennis player out of Atlanta. Looked like she's doing her thing. Shout out to the women's soccer team that won the Women's World Cup for the 4th time, twice in a row. Did it with a finger up to our president. Did it with a good percentage of our own country rooting against him because they had some things to say about the president. And with all of that, they did it with poise and brashness and a little obnoxiousness that Narcissist 1 can really appreciate. I like their style. So, shout out to those women. And that's all I got. See y'all next week. It was a really good show and enjoyed it again.
Absolutely. All right. Jay, what you got for me?
I'm piggybacking on Narcissist 1 real quick. The United States women's national team, we know the big names. What we don't know, unless you watch the game, is that Crystal Dunn, defensive player in the back corner, made sure the Netherlands didn't score. Set off 2 of those 2 runs, set them both off. Like Crystal Dunn was a G as defense. Congratulations to the United States women's national team. That was a great game to watch. And Crystal Dunn in defense, you were my favorite thing to watch, even though we know who got the shine for real. I know what happened.
No doubt. All right. Money, what you got for me?
Hey, shout out to the U.S. women's soccer team for bringing home a World Cup. Not sure the last time that happened, but I know it was quite some time ago. Unless, like my Clippers thing, it was last year.
No, we back to back, bro. We back to back.
And 5 of them are Tar Heels, just by the way. 5 of them are Tar Heels. 5 or 6 of them are Tar Heels. So that's what's up. Real quick, I just want to say shout out to the U.S. Customs. I guess U.S. Customs Bureau or whatever. They have seized today a ship that was owned by J.P. Morgan Chase with $1 billion worth of drugs on it. That's crazy. In Philadelphia. And that's gonna be it for my partner shots, man. If you're not rocking with Defy Life, what is your life about?
Absolutely.
Simple. Hey, Money, Crystal Dunn is one of them Tar Heels.
I know.
All right. Pooh, what you got for me?
Yeah. Just want to... Okay. Just want to spread love. A little shout out to 2 good friends that were hit, this past weekend to the Diaz family. Congratulations and good luck on your future.
All right. Salute.
All right. Salute out there.
All right. Yeah, ain't got nothing crazy, man. Just want to give a shout out to my oldest son, man, to LaDanian kid, and wrote a song, posted it on Defy Life. People are loving it. He's actually my sister took it upon herself to contact a producer that she knows in New York, and so he's digging the song. He actually wrote another song this week, so we're going to the studio with my son within the next couple of weeks, and they were really impressed, and they trying to find contacts for him to get him into the right hands. So shout out to you, LaDainian. Proud of you, son.
What's up?
Hey, on the crew song, I get to be Ghostface.
Word. Yeah, you got to fight my youngest son because now he's trying to write a verse. I want to rap on your song, man. So
that's what I said on the crew song.
Oh,
No, I get to be Ghostface.
All right, that's word. We can do that. I want to be ODB, only alive. So yeah.
That's fair.
All right. But yeah, man, that's all I got, man. Great show, guys. Again, thank you to Dr. J. Parker Griffin Jr. Very, very interesting conversation. Can't wait for everybody to check this one out. So it's been real. It's been episode 115 of the Defy Life podcast. We'll talk to y'all next week. Until then, Defy Life.
Defy life.
Defy life.
For sure. Reading the 25th Demon is fundamental. Because that's how we defy life.
Button up and defy life.
Because that's how we defy life.
That's not how we end the show.
Let's try this again. Defy life.
Button up and defy life.
Continue to defy life.
Narcissist 1, we out.
Narcissist 1, we out.